25. On this Friday, as everyone knows, political hatred is growing in the USA. Donald Trump, of course, is a magnet for it. Joe Biden, no slouch either. Both these men are easy targets. But that is not good for the country. That is why Stephen A. Smith, Chris Cuomo, and me, your humble correspondent, are going on the road with the Three Americans tour. Never been done before. Three vastly different guys talking about life in the USA. That means three different audiences will be in attendance. And that ensures the live presentation on stage will be lively. And we hope funny as well. I hope we can demonstrate that different points of view and experiences in life are worth considering by everybody. No choir practice here. You can expect the unpredictable. A games will have to be on display. This is going to be a very, very vigorous debate. But again, good-natured. So we hope you check us out. BillO'Reilly.com is all the information. March 30th, Westbury Theater, Long Island, is the first show. And if it goes well, we may be rolling into your town. And you can't stop us. Back in a moment. Ivermectin. It's a name you've heard before, but getting access can be a hassle. That's why you need to check out All Family Pharmacy. They're a licensed pharmacy in Florida, providing ivermectin and other hard-to-get meds. They take care of the prescription and ship it right to your door. You can even stock up in bulk. Please visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 for 10% off. Be proactive. Being prepared isn't just a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
What a turnaround in the weather department. My goodness, no Arctic outbreaks this week. No, more like a spring preview. And it starts with a high of 61 this afternoon under partly cloudy skies. Should be the first of 3 straight days with highs in the 60s. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight, down to 38 for the low. Tuesday, mostly sunny. We'll jump to 62 in the afternoon. Looks like low 60s again for Wednesday, but with a chance of rain by that point. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
We were there when our nation called us to serve. We were there to write the original GI Bill and get it signed into law. When a community found itself in the middle of a natural disaster. When tragedy struck at a local school. For veterans who suffered from toxic exposure and needed a voice on Capitol Hill. And we're still serving as part of the American Legion. For more than 100 years, veterans have been strengthening our nation through the American Legion. Through programs that help our nation's youth become tomorrow's leaders. By keeping the spirit of our forefathers alive and well. And by helping veterans receive the benefits they earned through their service. The American Legion will be there for the next 100 years. Learn more about how we're helping in your community at legion.org.
Always be clear where you get your conservative talk.
Soros Fund Management is positioned to become the biggest shareholder of Odyssey, the nation's second largest radio company.
St. Louis's trusted source and #1 for live and local conservative talk. This is News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, that was a surprise when I woke up, several hours ago and saw the news that Dan Bongino is leaving News Talk STL and every other radio station in the country. Yeah, big news. He's been tapped for a position in the Trump administration. Normally, we don't talk about hosts who are leaving a radio station, but this is big news. So give me your thoughts on that. You can give me a call at 314-912-1019 or just send us a note on social media. We'll go into this in more depth, but here's the spoiler for you early birds who are up from the get-go here. No, I don't know who or what's going to replace Dan Bongino. Way too fresh of information for us to know that. But we'll kind of go through. We'll go through the steps that are going to happen over the next 3 weeks or so before Dan Bongino leaves his radio show. All right. Good morning, Mike Ferguson here. Hope you had a good weekend. We recently had a chance, because J.B. Pritzker has been in the national news a whole bunch lately. We had a chance to visit with State Representative Blaine Wilhour from the Freedom Caucus of Illinois. And while J.B. Pritzker is in the news, for calling Republicans Nazis and all the stupid stuff that he does normally, he's also trying to get the state of Illinois to spend so much more money than it actually has or even has access to right now that it seems like he's trying to crash the state's economy. Maybe that's why so many people in so many counties literally are trying to secede and leave and go to another state. Here's how that discussion went with Representative Wilhour.
Now, my understanding and my reading of what was proposed here is that J.B. Pritzker is proposing a spending plan that includes money that everybody agrees the state does not have. I mean, so we're not talking about, we're expecting tax revenue. I mean, he's assuming revenues and incomes that simply do not exist because they've never even been approved. And if they did, they would just add to the tax burden.
Well, that's the thing. It's going to add to the tax burden. We've increased our budget by 40% in the 6 years that I've been in the General Assembly. So, and that's with raising, hundreds of fees and billions of dollars in tax increases, both on gas taxes and, all kinds of stuff, business fees, you name it. It's just more of the same from the governor. And I think that you have the right to be a little bit petty, considering the governor literally called like 75 million Americans Nazis yesterday. So, that was something.
Good morning, Blaine. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So I'm always curious as to where the bloat comes from. You mentioned it, 46% increase over 6 years. That's ridiculous.
There's no business that grows even overnight sensations like that.
Right.
That's insane.
So where is this all just new programs?
Yeah, there's a lot of new programs. I mean, just last year they started a whole new cabinet level agency in Illinois. It's things like that, but we're growing government is what we're doing. There's more government jobs in Illinois now than there is manufacturing jobs, and that's a recipe for disaster because these government jobs they cost us more than what we're gaining out of it. But that's the only industry in Illinois that's growing, and that's a major problem. You have less people contributing, but bigger budget.
Okay, I did not know that till you just said that. We're visiting with Blaine Wilhour, state representative in Illinois. And to put that in perspective, I mean, in the 70s and 80s when I was growing up in Illinois, Illinois had two massive sectors, agriculture and manufacturing. I mean, Illinois was a manufacturing state, even amid all of the agriculture areas. You could go all over the state. You could go to Collinsville. You could go to Alton. You could go to Decatur. You could go to Quincy. You could go to Moline. You could go to Peoria. You could go to Joliet. You could go anywhere in the state, Danville, anywhere like that. And you would have manufacturing hubs and bases. And so the fact that there are more government jobs than manufacturing jobs says one arrow is going up, but the other arrow has to be going down with the loss of manufacturing jobs.
100%. That's the manufacturing jobs have been the lifeblood for middle class folks, since the beginning of time. And, they didn't leave Illinois because Illinois is not a good place to build things. It's a great place to build things. We got access to all the waterways. We've got more rail hubs in Illinois than they do anywhere in the country. We got interstates. We got everything. It's just bad public policy on top of bad public policy for generations. And, all of these jobs didn't go to Mexico and China. Too many of them did, and we need to rectify that. But a lot of them went to the South. Places and even over to Indiana, and places that just value their capital more than what we do here, and don't tax them to death and don't regulate them to death. We need massive deregulation in states like Illinois, especially in the energy sector and on the cost of business initiatives.
So we've discussed the people, and businesses who are voting with their feet, but there are other.
Speaking of Indiana,
there are other places in Illinois. They're trying to move the entire counties. So tell us a little bit about what's going on here with some of these Illinois counties that are flirting with Indiana, looking to join them.
And by the way, going back to my growing up as a kid,
Indiana.
Yeah, Blaine, just to put that in perspective, growing up as a kid, for anybody who grew up in the Illini world, especially the Lou Henson era, to say that someday I would want to be a Hoosier in the state of Illinois, that's saying
unbelievable.
Oh, anathema.
That is saying a lot. That's a great point. I would have never wanted to be a Hoosier before. I'm still a big Illini fan. Not a big People's Republic of Champaign-Urbana fan, but a big Illini fan. But it really is Indiana flirting with Illinois. I mean, the House Speaker over there is the one that presented this bill that would allow them to basically encapsulate the 33 or so counties that have literally voted to separate from Illinois. Now people say that that's far-fetched and whatnot, and it's a very difficult process. You would have to get agreements in the legislature in Illinois. You'd have to get agreements in Congress. But when people talk about this, they focus on the wrong things. They should be focusing on why. Why in the world would 33 counties in Illinois take dramatic measures to separate from their state? And they're not doing it. This isn't like a 50-50 proposition. Every county in my district has voted on this, and most of them are in the 80% on this. Why are people in our part of the state so disillusioned with government? Is because government policy has destroyed our economies. It's destroyed our economies. It's insulted our way of life. And in every regard, we're an abortion on demand state. We're, an anti-Second Amendment state. And, we punish anybody who wants to create jobs here. There's a real sentiment here that they need to respect and pay a little bit of attention to. When you have that many people, if you're in an organization and you have that many people that are disillusioned, you've got a problem, and they need to start respecting that.
Yeah, that's not a Republican versus Democrat number. That's not a Pritzker versus Trump number. That reflects a deep-seated frustration, because that's not virtue signaling by people. That is people saying we are willing to literally change something as important in our lives as affiliating with another United state and leaving one that's been, there since day one. I mean, that's, and the reaction, assess the governor's reaction to that, because from what I can see, looking from the outside from Missouri now, is that it's been one of condescension and dismissiveness, because they can't do it. We won't let them.
Absolutely. He gives no care whatsoever for people who disagree with him. Just like I said earlier, he accused people who disagree with him during his State of the State speech of being Nazis. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of person that we're dealing with here, which I think is, really hypocritical, considering that he was probably the most tyrannical governor in the United States over the last 6 years when it comes to taking rights away from people. So for him to make those comments is absolutely ridiculous, especially coming from him. He has no respect for people in our part of the world, traditional American.
Mm-hmm. All joking aside on the whole idea of these counties wanting to join Indiana, if they actually really wanted to do that, could Governor Pritzker actually stand in the way? Could he prevent that from happening?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't looked into a whole bunch on that, but what their bill over there proposes is basically to set up a council, a committee between the states, and that committee would be appointed by the governor. So, I don't think that we're going to get any appointments from this governor on there. So, there is a process to do this kind of stuff, but I think that it would have to be in agreement with both legislators legislatures. And right now, there's nothing in it for the Illinois legislature to get rid of us, because right now they can take our tax money and they can ignore us.
Which is exactly what they do. Yeah.
It's exactly what they do. Yeah. Or they try to, but we're making some noise. So, enough to get into the governor's head.
All right, Blaine Wilhour from the Illinois Freedom Caucus. Man, you mentioned there's a bunch of more anti-Second Amendment stuff that's happening we didn't have time to get into, but people want to get in touch with the Freedom Caucus in particular, because you do the weekly broadcast and everything. What's the way for people to do that? And I hope that they follow you along with what you all are doing.
Yeah, well, we're on Twitter at the Freedom Caucus, and we're on Facebook. You can follow us there. Subscribe to the Substack. We're putting stuff out all the time. Watch our weekly stuff. Go to @Blaine Wilhour on Twitter. Give me a follow there. I'll keep you informed of all the goings on with Governor Pritzker.
All right. Well, I'm sure you've seen the news on social media, and I just mentioned it a little bit ago. Dan Bongino leaving radio here in a few weeks. We will talk about that in just a little bit here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity. And I'm sick and tired of it.
101.9 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL.
Sievers JCB, a trusted leader in agriculture and construction. Connect with SieversJCB.com and browse their inventory, or stop by and let them show you the capabilities of the JCB lineup. Telebooms, skid steers, loaders, forklifts, excavators, backhoes, and more. JCB has pushed diesel to its limits with machines that now emit 50% less CO2. JCB's new Icon software system will blow your mind, offering iConfigure, iConnect, and iControl. Learn more at SieversJCB.com.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 or more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today.
800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380. Paid for by U.S. Med.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community, because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis, always faithful, always Marine.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
40 degrees, Mike.
Going to be, what, 60 today?
Yeah.
Oh,
what a difference a week makes.
oh my goodness. Yeah, a lot of that snow is about melted off.
Yeah.
It's been great. Might think about going and playing outside. Go get my bicycle, ride it up and down the hill.
Put your shorts on?
Nobody wants that.
Oh, okay.
No, nobody wants that. No. Oh my goodness. Although I've been better off wearing them today. I already managed to dump one cup of coffee.
All right.
I did the thing, what do you
Handle?
call it? My cord here, my power cord. It got caught up. And when I went to push away from my desk, it just pushed my coffee right on top of me.
Golly.
I'm a mess right now. All right. 5:52 right now. Okay. Just a couple things, kind of real quick here. We've got a big change coming to News Talk STL. I mean, you probably already heard the news here on social media. I woke up this morning and I'm like, oh, there's an email from the boss. There's a text from Stell. There's social media everywhere. Something happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at 2:30 in the morning, trying to clear my eyes and went, holy crap. Yeah. So that's a big change for us.
I think a lot of folks may not know yet. So go ahead and give them a little idea.
Yep. I will do that right after I tell everybody that our app is ready.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be launched any day now. So get that app. Okay. Dan Bongino is leaving News Talk STL.
Wow.
Dan Bongino is leaving radio. Dan Bongino is leaving his podcast. Now, I want to go into far more depth of this at 6:20 because this is worth a conversation with the News Talk STL family here. This is big. But let me point out real quick here. I don't know that people really understand because, we're radio insiders here. And, Dan's been very good to us in News Talk STL. I like Dan. I get along with Dan. Great. I don't think people realize what he's walking away from financially. He has got an empire financially. He left a nationally not syndicated. He left a national program on Fox TV because he didn't need it. That's how popular he is. Between his podcast and his radio show, he's one of the few guys just making money hand over fist because he's that popular and he's walking away from all of it.
And I wonder how it affects his ownership position with Rumble. Because is he not a part owner?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. He is a part owner of Rumble.
I imagine maybe that'll stay the way it is. But
and I think sometimes they have way, and I could be just talking out of my backside here, but I know that sometimes, like if you take on a big government position, you're still allowed to invest. I mean, you're still allowed to do it, but generally sometimes they have to put it what's called a blind trust, and it's like, okay, somebody else has to manage all your stuff. You can't see it. That would be my guess. But run 620. So I want to get your reaction to this because Dan Bongino's last show is going to be March 14th, I believe it is. So I want to get your reaction to that, obviously. And then as far as what's next for that time slot, there are a variety of options. Absolutely no decisions made. We literally are waking up to this morning. So no, we haven't made any big decisions on that. But 620, let's go in more depth on that because that's a big. I mean, we built this station intentionally with Dan Bongino doing our national presence.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a big deal. Big deal. All right. I don't want to go into too much time on this, but I want to mention part of what's making Elon Musk so effective is that he's really weird. And he just doesn't really care. I mean, so he's like the perfect guy to do the flame throwing on stuff. But do you see the story where apparently he's somehow notified every federal employee by today, you will send me a list of the things you did last week. Otherwise, I'm assuming that you've resigned and then you're fired.
Didn't he do a similar action with Twitter when he took it over?
Yeah. And the thing is that it's in the private sector. That is not any employee, even the public. It's really not that unusual for somebody to be able to report, hey, always be ready to report what you're doing and what you're building. The question here comes down to, does Elon Musk have that kind of authority to where he is now the sovereign over every federal employee out there?
The big kahuna?
Right. Because some federal departments led by people very loyal to Donald Trump have already told their employees, no, don't worry about it. No, don't comply. The Department of Defense is like, no, don't worry about it. Tulsi Gabbard and National Intelligence, like, no, don't worry about that. So if if Musk stays focused and methodical, he is slashing and burning all kinds of stuff that's got to be slashed and burned. I'm just a little worried that's like, oh, okay, dude, back into your lane a little bit. You're effective when you're there. Don't go too chaotic here because you might undermine what you're trying to do on this. And from what I could tell, and I looked at the executive order up that put him back into that, or put him in that position, I don't see that he's got actually that authority. And you've got cabinet members, secretaries, and you've got directors all over going, whoa. We were hired to clean house. Let us clean house. We'll take care of it, Elon. You don't get to slash and burn everything from the top. I don't know. People got a lot of mixed, because one thing can be true at the same time. You should be able to say, yes, this is what I have done recently. This is what I'm doing. Every employee should be able to do that when you're getting a paycheck for that. I don't have a problem with that concept. What I worry about is whether he's gotten over his skis there a little bit, and he's risking putting some of the good stuff that's being cut and burned and some of that good stuff. That's what I'm worried about. He gets a little going to his head just a little bit.
You kind of wonder if he's thinking, I've got this chainsaw. Let me use it. Right. No. Hold back. It's okay.
Yeah. Pass the chainsaw around. Other people get to do the chainsaw too, Elon, not just you. Because a lot of people love having that chainsaw right now. I'm here for it.
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
I've been a registered Democrat for 28 years. I'm really glad you're talking about this. You gotta love these idiots out here. They think we're all stupid, I guess.
news, analysis, opinion.
Totally agree on that. I disagree with you.
It's over.
Very upset.
Thanks for taking my call. Thanks for taking my call. Thank you for taking my call. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Wanted to ask you really quick. Is there room on the bandwagon for me?
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Your addiction could cost you everything. Your job, your children, your loved ones, maybe even your life. Face it, you need help. Call Better Addiction Care now. It's time to end your addiction to drugs and alcohol. Help is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter who you are, where you're located, or your financial situation. Our network of treatment centers can guide you before it's too late and you hurt yourself or your loved ones again. We're Better Addiction Care and can help put an end to your addiction. Plus, your insurance may cover up to 100% of costs. Don't wait another moment. Your life could depend on making the call right now. There's still time to get back what addiction has taken away. This could be the most important call of your life.
Call 800-743-6335. 800-743-6335. 800-743-6335. That's 800-743-6335.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
David Stokes, Director of Municipal Policy at the Showman Institute.
We should rely on property taxes more because people hate property taxes. Because people dislike property taxes, they think long and hard before passing new property taxes. On the Show Me Institute Twitter page, a number of people have told me how stupid I am.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. In his drive to expel criminal illegal aliens from the country, it would seem that President Trump has a lot of Republican friends in a number of states.
Lawmakers in more than 20 states have filed legislation targeting so-called sanctuary policies that limit cooperation with federal immigration authorities. Some of those states already have sanctuary policies, but they're now proposing to punish mayors, council members, and others who ignore those bans. The state proposals come as Trump's administration also has begun taking legal action against governments with policies inhibiting arrests and deportations of people who are in the United States illegally. Bernie Bennett reporting.
The FBI is getting a new deputy director whose name is familiar to many. President Trump announcing the appointment of Dan Bongino as Director Kash Patel's right-hand man. Mr. Trump taking to Truth Social, proclaiming great news for law enforcement and American justice. The president touts Bongino's academic accomplishments, his history in law enforcement to include the Secret Service, and calls him one of the most successful podcasters in the country. And the president today welcomes Emmanuel Macron to Washington.
The French president is the latest world leader to visit the White House for talks with Donald Trump.
How to end the Ukraine war is expected to top the agenda. The president rattled Europe last week by sharply criticizing Ukraine's leader and having U.S. officials meet with Russian officials. Ahead of his visit, Macron said he plans to tell President Trump not to be weak in the face of Vladimir Putin. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Today is the third anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and today, in a show of support for Ukraine, European leaders and the Canadian Prime Minister are visiting Kiev. The Trump administration has been trying to end the war by launching talks with Russia. On Wall Street, the Dow futures are up 330 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 89. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
What a turnaround in the weather department. My goodness, no Arctic outbreaks this week. No, more like a spring preview. And it starts with a high of 61 this afternoon under partly cloudy skies. Should be the first of 3 straight days with highs in the 60s. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight, down to 38 for the low. Tuesday, mostly sunny. We'll jump to 62 in the afternoon. Looks like low 60s again for Wednesday, but with a chance of rain by that point. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL, brought to you by Jewels on Hampton, paying some of the highest prices for your gold, silver, diamonds, and more. Call 314-752-5000 or visit jewelsonhampton.com.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit stlfenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Colombo and Company, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Wow, you're really pumped about this.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
The best answer to the toxicity of the left is the truth.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin God.
Good morning to the people of St. Louis.
All right, we got a big change coming to News Talk STL. We're going to touch on that here in just a minute, but then 6:20, guys. Everybody, News Talk STL family, that's you listening and watching right now. I want your reaction. I want to know what you think about this. And then also, hey, what's next for us? The short answer is I'll spoil it. We don't know.
Right.
But I'll tell you how some of these things work. So get your thoughts on that. We'll get to that in just a minute. The city settles with the young volleyball player whose life was changed in downtown St. Louis 2 years ago. So that case has now been settled.
Okay.
On this. And then the Blues homestand continues while the Cardinals get used to being back on the field. It is 6:06 right now. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right, you may have heard the news already. You may have seen it on social media if you've already been looking, but if not, Dan Bongino has been named the new deputy director of the FBI. So basically to serve as Kash Patel's right-hand man in overhauling that agency. That obviously means he's living broadcasting, and he's his last show on News Talk STL is going to be March 14th at around 11:04, 11:05, something like that. He is going to talk about that. So you're going to get it straight from the horse's mouth right at just after 11 o'clock after our national news information segment. That was a shock to me when I woke up this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, big ups to Dan Bongino for the pick, right? That's pretty cool.
That's huge.
But also, man, that hurts.
Yeah, it sucks for us.
Yeah,
it absolutely sucks for News Talk STL.
Kathy walked into the room last night and told me, and I had no clue. She said, "Hey, I just saw something about Bongino going to join Patel at the FBI," and I said, "Are you serious?"
Right.
Yeah.
And she said, "Yeah, it looks like it. And there's even a Truth Social post on it." Yep. Oh, okay.
Yep. And that's what you screenshotted. So I woke up at early this morning, and I've got an email from the boss. I got that text, Gabe, that you and I got from Stell with that screenshot, with the Trump screenshot. And then I look at social media, which is always a mistake. But I did it. I do it more than I should.
Well,
but
it is what it is, man.
I know it's like the anti-coffee. It's like
the anti-coffee.
Why am I doing this to myself? It's like, oh, good. And so 6:20. Let's go into more depth on this, because this is a big deal. And also, as I kind of mentioned just a few minutes ago, I don't think people realize what Dan is walking away from.
Yeah. That's a good point. This is very much a sacrifice for public service sort of thing, right? Like we always talk about how back in the day, the George Washingtons of the world, they put their own lives on hold, actually did public service in a way that we want public service. It was a sacrifice for them, but they did so because of love of country, all that stuff. And Bongino is definitely in that category
because he's one of the very, very few who's got that empire from the broadcast.
Absolutely. What an empire that
there's a lot of people with a national name who live in houses that look just like ours.
Yes,
let's put it that way.
That's true.
Yeah, it's hard to do. He's done it.
Man.
All right, 6:09 right now, but let's do that right around 6:20 or so. All right, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard lays out her vision for what she says she wants to do during her tenure in that position. She was on Fox News' news show, which is called My View with Laura Trump, says she's seeking to balance national security with the constitutional rights that are guaranteed to us.
We've seen people in positions of great power tell us that, oh, well, if we just violate your civil liberties and freedom.
Okay, let's get the rest of that.
A little bit. It's okay because we're trying to keep you safe.
Okay, so I love that answer from Tulsi Gabbard, because you either have government first thinking or you have liberty first thinking.
Right.
And in this particular case, she has liberty first thinking. And I love that we've got somebody in that position who says, we're going to try to do both. Maintain national intelligence, but we are not going to violate people's rights in order to do it.
Yeah, that's the narrow way that public servants in those positions of power need to walk, and they need to be aware that that's how they're walking. Well, because otherwise, you get the like you were saying, the government first thinking, and we've seen how that goes.
And make no mistake, this makes it harder for the people in the government to do that job.
Yeah,
tough. It's supposed to be hard to do that. All right. The Senate approves a $340 billion budget framework. This happened as we headed into the weekend after the so-called vote-a-rama that went for like 24 hours. The bill is going to provide funding for many aspects of Donald Trump's agenda, including the fight against illegal aliens. And it's not really even fighting necessarily illegal immigration right now, because that's been shut down for the most part.
Yeah.
Like the 95% literally reduction in illegal immigration as far as border crossings. Now it's about the deporting people who are here.
Right. Exactly. And it's essentially just, hey, the executive has decided to do its job.
Right.
That's really the big difference.
That's all it took. Yeah. All right, Republican Senator John Cornyn from Texas was on Sunday Night in America with Trey Gowdy last night. He says the next steps to come to a consensus with the, obviously, U.S. House.
It's going to be a challenge, but we don't have any choice but to deal with these issues. And we particularly are not going to allow a multi-trillion-dollar tax increase on 62% of American taxpayers, which would happen if we did not extend the expiring tax provisions.
And we're going to talk to Congressman Bob Onder about that and a lot of other things at 7:35. Let me just read the way that this news copy is written. Democrats argue that the tax cuts President Trump put into place during his first term will only benefit the wealthy and hurt the middle-class Americans. Except I am not the wealthy,
right?
And I remember benefiting from being able to keep my own money.
And certainly any analysis of what happens if those tax cuts go away shows that I'm going to be hurt
yes
by the expiration of those tax cuts. So gosh.
And the fact that they kept the tax cuts there,
mm-hmm.
that would seem to say something right there. Well, I guess you guys sort of agreed with it. You didn't try to get rid of them.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Nobody wants to be the one to raise taxes on a massive way right before an election. You want the taxes to be raised when the other team is in charge, so they get blamed for it. Politics 101, Game of Thrones, mini level.
Yeah,
all right.
Standard.
City of St. Louis has settled with Janae Edmondson, the young volleyball player who lost her legs in a downtown car crash. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that long ago.
Yeah. Civil trial was scheduled to begin next week, but the case has been settled with Edmondson being paid $450,000 from the city, which is not going to come anywhere close to covering the expenses of what her ongoing treatments and prosthetics are going to cost the rest of her life.
Yeah. This is a lifetime of change. This is a lifetime effect. And I'm surprised they settled for so little because they easily could have gotten more, I would think.
I think that
like a lot more.
My understanding is that this is basically going to come close to covering the initial prosthetic legs.
Okay.
Her lawyer, Janae Edmondson's lawyer, told media, and I'm just going to report that he told it. I did not verify this. He says that there are basically tort limits in Missouri, and the most that she could get would have been around $560,000.
Oh, really?
According to Missouri state law.
Oh.
I haven't seen anybody confirm that. But like you said, I'm guessing there's some kind of limit because this was probably a blank check.
Oh, yes.
For Janae Edmondson. And I was hoping she was going to clean out the city over this because this goes back to the Kimberly Gardner debacle of her tenure. And Janae Edmondson has lost far more than $450,000. They should have been shutting down city departments and firing people in order to pay this young lady.
I got to say, I was shocked when I saw the amount and how low it was.
I thought it would be 10 times.
Oh,
yeah,
easily.
I thought it would be at least 10 in the millions, basically.
Yeah, $4 or $5 million.
$4 or $5 million. That would make the most sense to me. But yeah, and I don't think any jury would have balked at that, or a judge would have balked at that level because there's the like the cost, as you were saying, of her lifetime worth of medical care that's necessary, but also usually they award punitive damages for this type of thing, right? The pain and suffering and all that stuff. So I guess it must be a legal hurdle that her lawyers found in the law, but I don't understand it.
It's all risk assessment.
Yeah, I feel like they could have gotten a lot more.
She deserves a lot
and
more.
And she definitely deserves a lot more.
All right. The Cardinals lose Sunday spring training game. Final was Astros 11, Cardinals 6. You think the Astros were there looking, saying, hey, Nolan Arenado, come on. Because apparently now we got reports that the Astros have restarted negotiations to try to trade for Nolan Arenado.
Really?
Yeah. So was he looking at his teammates there? I don't know. We'll see here. The Redbirds play the Mets this afternoon in Jupiter. That is a 12:05 first pitch with Steven Matz on the mound. And when I say Steven Matz on the mound, that probably means what? What do you think, Stel? 2 innings maybe at most?
Yeah, at the most.
Yeah.
You're right.
Truly, yeah.
You're right.
Ouch.
And then you look at all the youngsters who are trying to get a spot on AAA, basically, is what you do there. And you don't hurt his arm, basically.
That's the way Whitey always used to do it.
Yep.
Spring training, I don't care what our record is. I just want to see how well these guys play.
100% agree with that. I could not care less what the spring training record is. I don't care if they lose 50-0 every single game in spring training. These games mean absolutely nothing. I'm going to have fun telling you who hit the home runs, which a couple guys hit home runs I've never heard of before. But yeah, spring training, it's about looking at, all right, what are we seeing on the team there? All right, the Blues are holding at 500 for the season. That's after Sunday's 3-1 win over the Avalanche and Enterprise. All 3 goals, by the way, coming in the second period. Braden Shen, Colton Pareko, and Dylan Holloway all had goals. Jordan Bennington, 28 saves, 28 out of 29.
Benny.
Yeah, so that's like 996 percentage there. He had a great game. Blues homestand continues on Tuesday when the Kraken are in town. The Blues right now are 26, 26, and 6 on the season. Dan Bongino's leaving.
That's wild.
All right, 314-912-1019. Let me get your reaction to that. Also, you got any thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Who you want to see in the slot?
We got to make some decisions here on that. So I'll tell you what's in play, and then we're not even close to knowing what the right thing to do is. But let me know. Let's talk about it right around 6:20.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You want to give me more information? You want to take the place of what I trust?
History, wine, spirits, food, and music, plus an awesome name. That's the Old House in Hog Hollow. This beautiful historic home's been turned into a wine bar and event venue that can host any and all of your gatherings. Take a tour while enjoying a glass of wine and see all the original features that are still around from the 1850s. Open Thursday through Sunday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and brunch, with live music on select dates paired with wine tasting. Find them at 14319 Olive Boulevard in Chesterfield or online at oldhouseinhoghollow.com.
Now you can get the incredible weight loss results that thousands of people have had with the top name brand prescription weight loss products, all in the comfort of your own home. With this free offer from New Hope Weight Loss, yes, generic versions of the popular weight loss prescription products are available now by you simply making a phone call. You'll save hundreds of dollars over traditional retail pricing. When you call right now, you'll speak with one of our virtual doctors and they'll provide your prescription and we'll send you your medication. It's that easy. And you'll be on your way to your weight loss journey in a matter of days. And when you order today, we'll waive the $100 doctor's fee. This product is not covered by your insurance. It's only $199 a month. Call right now to learn more.
800-438-6519. 800-438-6519. 800-438-6519. That's 800-438-6519.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, like we just said in the news dump, big change coming to News Talk STL as Dan Bongino is leaving broadcasting to join the Trump administration. I'm a little surprised that this is happening. I can't say I'm totally shocked, but I am a little surprised. I did not.
Yeah.
Because somebody brought that up, like, oh, yeah, Trump's going to go get Bongino. And I was thinking, you know how successful, I mean, Dan Bongino is one of the few people who has built an empire doing conservative media.
Right.
There are a lot of national names out there, and almost none of them have built what Dan Bongino has built.
No. I mean, if the national figures in radio are living in pretty swanky neighborhoods in St. Charles, Bongino, on the other hand, is in where's he in?
Town and Country.
He's in town and country.
Ladue.
Yes, and with a not just a gate. He owns the gated community.
He owns the street.
He owns the street.
It's like Bongino Way.
Yes, long drive up to his house
with Bongino Place over here.
That's right.
Bongino Street over here.
Oh my goodness!
But you think back though, and his name popped up at the beginning with the Secret Service, and then the FBI, and then it kind of faded into the background when Patel got nominated, and then now all of a sudden
surprise.
Here he is again.
Yeah, so basically Dan Bongino is essentially going to be Kash Patel's right hand man.
Yes,
is really what we're looking at. So
and it's definitely a professional step down, I guess, if you want to look at it
Oh
that
my
way.
goodness.
You know,
he's going to go from millions a year to whatever
right.
a deputy director is going to make. I'm
Right.
sure he's going to make probably a couple hundred grand.
Six figures, but not 7.
No, well, maybe 8.
Yeah, I mean,
very.
You know what? His empire probably is in the 8-figure
between the
area
podcasting
right now.
and the radio.
Yeah, and the multiple endorsements in between both.
Right.
And as Mike and I had touched on just a little bit, he's part owner of Rumble.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So you got that to deal with, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think here's a good way of saying it. Daisy on Rumble, speaking of, said, so sad about Bongino leaving, but super proud of what he's going to be doing. Yeah, this sucks for News Talk STL. I'll just be really candid. This sucks for News Talk STL. When we were putting this station together, I don't know, 6 or 7 of us that were, in those
secret meetings.
Those secret meetings.
the smoke-filled backroom meetings.
That's right. If only. But we knew we had that one anchor of a show in the middle. We knew we wanted to do local basically all day, but we knew you got to have that national presence. And as we were building the station, we're talking about, okay, who and what do we want to be? What's the vibe we want to be? What's the personality we want to be? I mean, obviously, when you look at our guests, we're all over the map.
Sure.
On the right.
Right.
I mean, there's you look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 local shows, and I think all of them have different takes on the different issues. But there were several choices for that midday live, and as I recall, and some of the people who were there, if I get this wrong, let me know. But as I recall, it was basically, what is there to talk about? Bongino.
Right.
Bongino is what we want to do. He's still, as far as media goes, fairly young. I mean, he looks a lot younger than he actually is. He's about my age, but he's, phenomenal shape and energies. And, he is high energy, and he's very edgy, and he's got that, he's got that no compromise, that it factor.
It factor.
Yeah, it factor. You were about to say it factor.
Yeah,
exactly. So this is a big loss for us at News Talk, without a doubt. Then the next question comes and says, what's next?
Yeah, who do you put in that slot?
Right.
And my question more so than any other is, who do you, audience, want to see in that spot?
So here are a couple of the kind of the moving parts on this. So the company that syndicates Dan Bongino, they will send something to everybody probably within the next week and say, here's our replacement. I have no clue who that's going to be. And then the stations will either, agree to take that show if it's the right fit, if it's good or not. I don't know. Every program director in the country on a station that carries Dan Bongino, their email box is being flooded right now, and their phones are about to be flooded with everybody wanting who's trying to establish a national program.
Like, I can do it.
I can do it. I can do it.
Yep.
I told
Put
you,
me in, coach.
There's a national guy that I know pretty well. I almost guarantee you I'm getting a text from him today.
Directly.
Yeah,
yes.
I will. And that's somebody I think everybody knows. And then obviously, we could do something locally here as well. So I have no idea. This news is so fresh off the presses that I couldn't imagine that the bosses have until March 14th to make a decision on who and what's going to be in that spot. And I don't know what that's going to look like, because it really kind of caught us off guard, because I did not think Bongino was going to walk away from this, because while you may say, oh, you think it's all about the money, listen, Bongino has an influence.
Yes.
Bongino motivates people to ride herd on your Congress critters and your governor. When Bongino clearly lays out a problem, clearly lays out, here's what you can do about it, he motivates people. So it's not just about the money. It's about, he has a tremendous influence, because when he first started his radio show, I'll be really honest, they're like, he's getting a little rough around the edges. He's got to learn to do radio.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like anybody, you got to recognize that it's not just talking.
Right.
There's more to it.
Podcasting is different than radio. Radio is different than podcasting. He's excellent at both.
Right.
And he's figured out the radio thing. And that's really more about the moving parts and hitting the time things and being, this sort of thing. But it's not just about the money, although the money itself is pretty amazing if you really understood what Dan Bongino's walking away from.
Yes. Well, and of course, like you were saying, it's not just the money.
Right.
There's also the influence aspect. There's also he currently exists in the political ecosystem as a very major player. Probably with a wider influence than a cabinet position, essentially the one that he's moving into. So then you have to ask now. That isn't to take away from the work that he's going to be doing, though, as deputy director of the FBI. I think that niche is very obviously right up his alley. It's very much close to his heart. I think he's going to do a lot of good things, but you can't say that this is a step up for him in terms of political influence and certainly in terms of money.
Yeah. And then here's the other thing is Dan Bongino, he's 52, I think, or something like that. Yeah, he's a little bit younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
This is basically a 3.5-year gig.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a short-term thing. So another question that comes out of it is, okay, what happens when he's done with the FBI gig?
Right.
Yep. Does he step right back into the empire? Is the empire going to wait for him?
No, that's the thing is you have to rebuild it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't know what the landscape's going to look like at that point. Okay. A couple things here on, I don't know if we're getting anything on Facebook or Twitter or anything. 101 Straight Up says, I just heard about it when I got up. I've been with Dan Bongino since his NRA TV days. I think the man is almost a national treasure. He'll certainly be missed in my household. Completely agree with you there. Corporeal Being. This is a fascinating take on this. Bongino basically filled Russia's huge shoes. Who can replace Dan? Maybe if Tucker is willing to go terrestrial. I could not imagine Tucker Carlson wanting to go terrestrial.
Yeah.
I would be really, really shocked if he did that.
I think he likes the format that he's working in right now.
He's in complete control with the format that he's in right now. But yeah, it's interesting because with when Rush Limbaugh died, there was a show that the syndicator said, this is the new heir apparent. And it's not a bad show. It's all right. But Bongino, I do think Corporeal Being's onto something there. I think Bongino filled that as much as anybody can. You really can't fill Rush Limbaugh's shoes.
No.
Just like I really don't know who's going to be able to fill Dan Bongino's shoes on here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Buckley. Let's see here. This just proves that Bongino is true to his word. He always said that he never needed the money from broadcasting and he only did it because he loves this country. And I think this proves it.
That's a good point. Yeah. And that speaks to what we're talking about here with the sacrifice that he's making in stepping down from this empire that he's built.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Somebody made a funny.
Oh yeah,
they said, "Hey, Alex Jones." No,
that is a.
I have not talked to the boss, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and tell you, I guarantee you that Alex Jones will not be on.
We know Jeff.
No,
we know our station.
That ain't happening.
Yeah,
that ain't happening here. And so we've got we've got a number of names being floated on Rumble, at least. I don't know about the other platforms. Gabe's watching.
Yeah, we got a couple on Facebook. Yeah. So I think ultimately the issue is going to come down to because this is a national impact, right? So all the stations that currently carry Dan Bongino are doing this right now. They're racking their brains. They're thinking about who's going to fill this slot because that's a huge slot in whatever venue or whatever market that it was being broadcast. So they're saying, okay, is it somebody we know? is the question, right? Because I wasn't thinking of Dan Bongino when Rush died.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, I don't think anybody did.
I don't think anybody was thinking,
You're right.
oh, yeah, Dan Bongino was the absolute obvious successor to Rush. Nobody was thinking that.
We were being sold to the radio stations of Clay and Buck. And their show's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It never turned out to be what we thought it was going to be.
Right.
But it's fine,
Yeah. So I think there's going to be a lot of risk taking. I think that's going to happen. A lot of people are going to bet big on one or two names. I think they're going to kind of rise to the top, and we'll see where our station goes. We'll see what Jeff, basically the big boss, decides on.
I mean, and look at there's other syndicated hosts out there. Then you look at the whole crop of like the Daily Wire people, the Newsmax people. There are so many names out there.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to walk in and get every one of Dan Bongino's affiliates.
No,
they're just not going to do that.
The empire's breaking up into pieces right now.
Yeah.
And, some of the fill-ins have done a good job, too.
Yeah,
His producer's done a good job.
That's true.
Filling in. Lisa Booth has done a good job when she fills in.
Kira Davis has done well.
Yes.
Yep.
And some gentleman, I can't remember his name, from New Orleans, I believe. He does an okay job. So they've got some possibilities, but you're right. It's going to be a tough choice.
It's
Wide
gonna
open,
be
man.
tough. Yeah. So who do we put in that spot? I haven't the slightest freaking idea, but I'd love to know what you all think about that. Keep those comments coming here.
Yep.
All right, just ahead here. Looking at Donald Trump's, listen, there's no question that the Trump approach to the economy is worlds better than Bidenomics. Are there things that we still need to look and say, hey, let's avoid that mistake? All right, got a different perspective with Ryan Young from Competitive Enterprise Institute. Let's talk tariffs and your cost of living. Interesting, the Consumer Confidence Index actually went down last month. And a lot of what people are citing are those tariffs. Let's talk about that right around 6:34.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey, Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
What a turnaround in the weather department. My goodness, no Arctic outbreaks this week. No, more like a spring preview. And it starts with a high of 61 this afternoon under partly cloudy skies. Should be the first of 3 straight days with highs in the 60s. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight, down to 38 for the low. Tuesday, mostly sunny. We'll jump to 62 in the afternoon. Looks like low 60s again for Wednesday, but with a chance of rain by that point. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Hi, this is Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins. I'm looking forward to our annual Republican Lincoln Day, March 7th through 9th in St. Louis. I encourage all my fellow conservative grassroots freedom fighters to join me and other elected officials at our annual Lincoln Day in March. Find more information at mogop.org. I look forward to seeing you there.
Get your tickets today at mogop.org. That's mogop.org.
Paid for by the Missouri Republican Party. Jennifer Finch, Treasurer.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
The Vic Borselli Show.
Margaret Brennan from CBS News says that free speech was weaponized by the Nazis. I don't think so. We'll talk to Susie Moore from redstate.com all about that Friday at 10:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
Essentially what we're doing with the tariffs is, they charge us, we charge them, same amount. And it's called reciprocal, actually. And whatever they charge us, we're charging them.
That was President Trump obviously talking to reporters about basically the policy approach that he wants to take towards tariffs. And there's a lot of people who are saying, yes, that sounds fair. You charge us 15%. We're going to charge you 15%. And that's going to make those countries pay, or it's going to make them buy more of our stuff, or however they're going to try to frame the discussion. But here's the bottom line. Partisanship aside, what does this actually mean to each and every one of us, or what could it mean? I'm Mike Ferguson. I am now joined by Ryan Young from the Competitive Enterprise Institute. And Ryan, since you guys are nonpartisan, you're just looking at the economics of this. It sounds like, something that conceptually, hey, that sounds fair. You charge me 10%, I charge you 10%. You charge me 15%, I charge you 15%. But there is a difference in the effect on that. So if we're talking about basically doing reciprocal tariffs on everybody around the world, what type of changes could that make to our imports and our export businesses?
Well, one big change you'd see is higher prices. But in the long run, something I'm concerned about is that reciprocal tariffs would essentially mean that other countries are going to dictate to us what our trade policies are going to be. We tend to have lower tariffs than most other countries, and that's one reason why the U.S. is as wealthy as it is. When you have other countries with their higher tariffs and us going to match them, that is the U.S. giving up its sovereignty. We're going to just copy what other countries are doing, and in many cases, copying their mistakes instead of copying any good policies that they might have. So it's going to lead to higher tariffs abroad. It'll lead to retaliatory tariffs that'll cut our exporters off from foreign markets. And it's not going to have the results that its supporters think it has. I get the intuitive appeal, but it's not going to work.
Let me follow up on what you just said there, saying, that we've had historically low tariffs, and that's what's helped make us wealthy, because the argument being made by Donald Trump, by J.D. Vance, by, a lot of the people currently in the administration, they're saying, wait a minute, we're getting ripped off. That's the terminology that they're using, because we have, whether it's a trade imbalance or a trade deficit, or they're charging more than we are. The emotional appeal is they're ripping us off, and this just makes it fair. So what does historically low tariffs have to do with us becoming more wealthy as a country? Because that's flying in the face of what they're arguing economically.
Well, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that most of what the U.S. imports isn't consumer goods. It's not just cheap plastic stuff from Walmart. Most of what we import is inputs to other goods. It's capital equipment, it's raw materials that American businesses use to make American goods in America with American workers. When you tariff those input goods that we need, you make those goods more expensive. Our companies have to raise their prices so they become less competitive. That dents their sales and their revenues. It cuts jobs. And all this talk over trade deficits. I like that they use the word reciprocal trade, in part because all trade is reciprocal. The president and J.D. Vance and others are complaining that the U.S. imports more than we export. But you don't make a deal unless you expect to benefit from it. Whether you buy something from across town or from across an ocean, you don't make a trade unless it benefits you. What you get in return is worth it. You don't trade unless you get something back. In that sense, all trade is reciprocal. All trade is balanced. I run a trade deficit for thousands of dollars every year with my grocery store. No one who works there has ever paid me to give a talk about economic policy or bought any of my papers. And yet, that's a healthy, beneficial relationship. The trade deficit isn't good for the economy. It's not bad for the economy. It's neutral because all trade is reciprocal. It's just people making decisions.
What about the argument that tariffs are going to be used as a leverage point, one, to get more favorable deals somewhere else, but in the case of, let's say, steel, for instance, the goal is pretty clear by the administration and its backers on this, is that we want to raise the price of steel from somewhere else so that we bring manufacturing and those manufacturing jobs back into the U.S. instead of importing them, saying this is better for workers because we're basically going to have a protectionist policy and force the jobs back into the U.S.
There are 2 points to that. The first is that while that might benefit the steel industry, the last round of steel tariffs in 2018 added about 1,000 jobs to the steel industry, the steel and aluminum industries. However, that's only a small slice of the economy. More people work as manicurists than work in the steel and aluminum industries combined. It's only about 150,000 people. But a lot of workers, about 11 million workers, work in steel using industries and aluminum using industries, whether it's autos or construction, beverages, electronics. So you gain those 1,000 jobs in the steel and aluminum industries. and it cost 75,000 jobs in those metal using industries. That's not good math. You gain 1,000 in order to lose 75,000. That's bad math.
We're visiting with Ryan Young from the Competitive Enterprise Institute. So if you could bend the policymakers' ears and, they argue, they say, okay, but we want a, healthier, more robust economy. Obviously, we've been hit by inflation. We're seeing the residual effects from bad decisions over the past several years. Where do we start, if anywhere, when it comes to trade? Because essentially what we're seeing is an administration that's saying, we're going to make it really expensive for you to do business with us. Therefore, we think you're going to lower the cost of doing business with us.
I know from experience that trade as negotiating leverage doesn't work. We tried it 4 times with China in the last administration, and in the last Trump administration, and 4 times Beijing didn't make any of the reforms that everyone agrees they need to make. Instead, they retaliated with their own tariffs. We just did that again for round 5. Same thing. No reforms, but we got retaliatory tariffs. So what we should do is be a leader. We're America. We're supposed to be the leader of the free world. We should have a free trade policy that will make our economy more prosperous, open more opportunities for ourselves and our allies, open up trade, especially with allied countries, to build up alliances against places like China and Russia that are genuine threats, and be a leader to the world. Let's not outsource other countries' bad policies and let them make our trade decisions for us. Let's lead the world with free trade.
Is there an argument to be made? And President Trump was very honest about this. He says, I know that there's going to be some pain for Americans, at least for a while. So he did acknowledge that the prices can and will go up if these are all implemented. But another argument is, but we had to force Canada and Mexico, for instance, to put extra border security, to, take their illegal aliens back, to work with us on stopping the flow of fentanyl. So if it's not for direct economic purposes, at least we can do that to leverage to get other things as well. Is that a legitimate tool to use when it comes to other international agreements?
Not in this case. Canada had previously pledged 10,000 troops to the border to look out for migrants and for fentanyl. And Trump asked them to do what they're already doing. So in Prime Minister Trudeau's statement, he even said, we will continue to have 10,000 troops on the border. And Mexico, same thing, except I believe it was 15,000 troops. So they were promising to do things that they're already doing. Trump didn't win anything except maybe a 1 day's news cycle. So once again, you have that tariff as leverage argument not working out. And at the same time, those tariffs clearly violate the USMCA agreement that Trump himself signed just 7 years ago. That shows the world what America's word is worth when we sign an agreement with 2 of our closest allies and our 2 biggest trading partners. If you're another country sitting on the sidelines, what does that tell you?
All right. Ryan Young from the Competitive Enterprise Institute. There's going to be people agree with what we were just talking about. Other people going to disagree, but that's fine. If they got questions for you, they want to follow your work. How do they get in touch or follow what you're doing?
Our website is at cei.org.
All right. And you're on X and all those places as well?
Yep. My handle is at Reg of the Day. Reg is short for regulation. Reg of the Day.
All right. Good chat with you again, Ryan. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so that is not what I think a lot of people with an R behind their name really want to hear. But the reality is that free trade is a healthy approach overall. So, what the free market economists, what the conservative economists have been saying for generations is that we need fewer barriers to trade, not more. And I thought it was interesting when Ryan said early on, he said, our lower tariffs are one of the things that have made us wealthier as a country. You agree? You disagree? Let me know. You can put them in the social media comments or just give me a call, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. up, St. Louis? It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
To our brave police officers and first responders, we say thank you for risking your lives to protect us. To all the incredible volunteers who've joined hands with the David Dorn Foundation to raise funds for equipment and services, we extend our heartfelt gratitude. We stand strong with our volunteers who give their time, talent, and dedication as a shield of support for those who rush into danger. The David Dorn Foundation gives a big thank you from our heart to yours. Visit dornfoundation.com and join as a volunteer.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
As soon as you are able. All right, we got a big change coming to News Talk STL. Going to tell you what it is if you're just joining us. And then we say 7:20. We dive back into this, guys?
Yeah.
Man,
yeah.
a lot of people have a lot of opinions on this. This is kind of fun.
Definitely have to touch on this
Yeah,
again.
definitely. Also, the city settles with the young volleyball player whose life was changed in downtown St. Louis 2 years ago. And the number that she's getting in the settlement may surprise you in a very bad way.
Yeah.
And the Blues homestand continues while the Cardinals get used to being back on the field. Coming up on 6:49 right now. Let's dump some news on you.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Oh, boy. All right, here we go. You've probably heard the news by now. Dan Bongino has been named the new deputy director of the FBI to serve basically as Kash Patel's right-hand man while they are overhauling that agency. Now, that obviously means he is leaving broadcasting. It means he's leaving podcasting. You cannot do both, especially if you're in a position where you've got all kinds of incredibly sensitive information. So his last show here on News Talk STL is going to be March 14th. So obviously, I want to get your reaction. We've had some really thoughtful reactions on social media. And also, Gabe, you put the question out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Who do you want to see? I mean, that's I think the among the two questions, basically there are two questions, like, okay, who fits the station, who's who works for basically Jeff
That's
just
right.
gonna be deciding on this, and then also who do you want to see? You as the audience, who's what name rises to the top for you,
or names
Yes,
there are a lot
that's
of
right.
them out there.
There's no clear front runner.
No, because this is so fresh.
Yeah.
I did not know this till I woke up this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I went to bed, I go to bed early, obviously, but all this broke when I was snoozing away. So I've known this for about 4.5 hours.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I guess that means I'm included in that. Yeah, I've only known for a few hours. Jeez.
Yep. All right. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, lays out her... Okay, now I'm good. Lays out her vision for what she wants to do during her tenure now that she's been confirmed and put into that role. She was on Fox's My View with Laura Trump, a new program they've got. And Gabbard says she's seeking to balance national security with our constitutional rights.
We've seen people in positions of great power tell us that, oh, well, if we just violate your civil liberties and freedom a little bit, it's okay because we're trying to keep you safe.
Okay, that is the right thing to be drawing attention to. I don't agree with Tulsi Gabbard on everything. I think she was a good choice for this role. And I love the fact that she is saying part of our job in government, even in the intelligence gathering, is to protect our constitutional rights. That is 100% spot on. Well done, Director Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, if there's a director who comes through and doesn't have that idea that they have to walk that razor thin line at top of mind, I don't want them in there.
Yeah, and that does make the intelligence gathering job more difficult.
It does. Yeah.
So what?
Right, exactly.
I mean,
our constitutionally protected rights are more important.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so the U.S. Senate, as we headed into the weekend, approves a $340 billion kind of a budget framework. It's not a budget, but it's a spending plan after a 24, 36-hour vote-a-rama, as people in D.C. are wanting to calling it. The bill is going to provide funding for many aspects of President Trump's agenda, including deporting illegal aliens. Senator John Cornyn, Republican out of Texas, was on Fox's Sunday Night in America with Trey Gowdy, says the next steps come to a consensus with the House's budget plan.
It's going to be a challenge, but we don't have any choice but to deal with these issues. And we particularly are not going to allow a multi-trillion-dollar tax increase on 62% of American taxpayers, which would happen if we did not extend the expiring tax provision.
And we're going to speak with Congressman Bob Onder about that at 7:35. My guess is for this initial one, the first budget continuing resolution reconciliation, the first one, the Republicans are going to stick together and they're going to get something through. After that, there's got to be a lot of work done.
Yeah.
Because let's see how long they can kick this can down the road. The longer, the better. 6 months, 12 months, something like that. But my guess is that after this one, don't expect as much Republican unity.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Unfortunately. All right. The city of St. Louis has settled with Janae Edmondson. You'll remember she's the young volleyball player who lost her legs in a downtown car crash about 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago this month. The civil trial was scheduled to begin next week, but the case has been settled with Edmondson being paid $450,000 from the city, probably in addition to lawyers' fees and things like that. I'm really kind of shocked that it's only $450,000.
Yes, that's the major shock to me. As I expected a settlement.
Yeah,
but because what city wants to go through getting beat about the head and shoulders by a lawyer in court, whose client is sitting there injured by the negligence of the city. So I expected a settlement. I did not expect this amount. I expected it to be at least 10 times this.
I was thinking the same thing. My understanding is that the prosthetic legs that she now has, those cost a couple $100,000 each.
Yes.
So there's basically the $450,000 right there.
Right there.
So this isn't even going to come close to covering the costs that the city's negligence and Kimberly Gardner's negligence, and frankly, the voters' negligence by putting Kimberly Gardner in office.
Yes.
This isn't going to come close to covering that. I truly was hoping that she would really clean the city out financially so that people would have to make major changes.
Yeah. I mean, I think her college, I think allows her to keep her scholarship.
At least the first year.
Yeah. But the thing is they're going to have to cut her schooling. So I thought just that is, also needs to be covered. You know, what the changes to her life that she has, the fact that she's going to have to make, certain changes to whatever place she lives.
Right.
She's now limited on where she can live, how she can operate. All of those things, I think, required not just a financial backing, but also, I think, a punitive. There should be something punitive to the award that she should have gotten from there. But all that seems to be limited, I guess, by law.
Yeah, that's what her lawyer is arguing, is that there is a cap in Missouri that says the best they could have done was about $560,000. I that's what he's telling media, at least. Oh man. All right. 2024 report from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services shows opioid related deaths statewide fell from over 700 to right around 500, which is a 30% decrease. and it's believed that is primarily due to increased access to naloxone. Naloxone, how do you say that? Which of course is the medication that somebody who's ODing, you can give it to them and it negates the effects right away.
Right.
Dawn Ellen Schneider is the chief health officer with Central Ozarks Medical Center, says harm reduction strategies for those who do use drugs and are addicted, including naloxone, including avoiding using alone, and also using clean needles to prevent overdoses and infections.
Abstinence is not always the only goal. Sometimes you have to get someone to a point where they have safer use before they're ready to stop using completely.
Nationwide, opioid deaths dropped from around 84,000 to about 81,000, but cocaine and methamphetamine related deaths saw slight increases as well. And, fentanyl is in the opioid family.
Right. In that category. Yeah. Now, the national drug problem follows right along with our national mental health problems and whatnot. So there's so many things that need to be done. I guess I'm okay with the idea of this quote unquote safer usage as a means
if it's a step in
the right direction, but it's still, again, it kind of makes me feel icky.
All right, the Cardinals lose Sunday's spring training game to the Astros. Final was 11-6. They played today at 12:05. Steven Matt's on the mound. And the Blues, they actually won. They got 3 goals in the second period alone to end up beating the Avalanche 3-1. Jordan Binnington had 28 saves. Blues homestand continues on Tuesday.
Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis. Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
You guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for us covering the local angle.
Oh, people, this is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
Tired of floors that don't stand up to real life? Hometown Floors has the solution. With 40 years of experience, they know floors. 100% made in the USA. Luxury vinyl, laminate carpet, pet-friendly, and built to last. Free in-home estimates, professional installation, and satisfaction guaranteed. Hometown Floors, making small business great again. Check us out at hometownfloorsonline.com.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Speaker Tim Jones, whoosh my speaker.
Why did the men and women who sacrificed and died for this country get one day each year, and those who have to tell us what their sexuality is get an entire month?
So instead of MAGA, they can be MAFA. Make America fabulous again.
Vic Porcelli, live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Today marks the 3rd anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and today, in a show of support for Ukraine, European leaders and the Canadian Prime Minister have arrived in Kiev.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau were among the visitors greeted at a train station in the capital by Ukrainian officials. In a post on social media, von der Leyen wrote that Europe was in Kiev because Ukraine is in Europe. The guests also include European Council President Antonio Costa, as well as the Prime Ministers of Northern European countries and Spain. They are set to attend events dedicated to the anniversary amid a recent U.S. policy shift under President Donald Trump. I'm Lawrence Brooks.
Ukrainian President Zelensky offers to step down if the war ends and his country is cleared to join NATO. But NATO membership for Ukraine has been a non-starter for the Russians right next door. Ukraine will top the agenda today when French President Macron visits the White House for talks with President Trump. And in the words of the president, what an incredible job Dan will do. Dan Bongino, named FBI Deputy Director. The president lauds Bongino for his time with the NYPD and his work as a Secret Service agent. Mr. Trump describes Bongino as one of the most successful podcasters in the country, something he is willing to and prepared to give up in order to serve. The firings are underway at USAID as the Trump administration pursues a crackdown on what it has identified as wasteful and fraudulent government spending. Another element of the crackdown is a deadline imposed on federal workers. DOGE chief Elon Musk ordering them to list their accomplishments over the past week or face the possibility of being let go. Watching Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures up 299 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 73 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Let me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Healthcare is complicated. It doesn't have to be. If you don't love how your health insurance works, maybe it's time to leave traditional health insurance behind. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM offers you flexibility. Enroll anytime, choose your own provider, and select the program that fits your needs and budget. CHM is the original faith-based way of taking care of your medical bill costs. Learn more at chministries.org/wellness.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
What a turnaround in the weather department. My goodness, no Arctic outbreaks this week. No, more like a spring preview. And it starts with a high of 61 this afternoon under partly cloudy skies. Should be the first of 3 straight days with highs in the 60s. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight, down to 38 for the low. Tuesday, mostly sunny. We'll jump to 62 in the afternoon. Looks like low 60s again for Wednesday, but with a chance of rain by that point. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple saw stereo!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Try something a little different with this cup of coffee, guys. I kept it in my coffee mug.
Oh, yeah, that's
as
right.
Opposed to
all over the floor.
All over the floor where I spilled it in the bullpen area.
Yeah, little oopsie there.
Oops. Yeah, it landed mostly on me, and then it hit the floor, and so it's been one of those days. Oh goodness! All right, how about this? Racial strife in some Christian circles after a fight on social media. So who's right, who's wrong? I'll tell you, this is really a weird situation here.
Yeah.
By the way, still ahead here. Yep, big change. You just heard him talking about it in the national information segment there. Big change coming to News Talk STL after Dan Bongino and Donald Trump's big announcement over the weekend. We're going to bring you up to date on that. Let's talk about it at 7:20. It's really fun seeing all of the suggestions for people who say, here's who you should go with.
Yeah, here's the one I want to hear on your station. I'm like, okay, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, exactly. So 7:20. Let's dig into that. Okay, this is interesting. I don't know if you saw this blow up on Twitter X over the weekend.
I didn't until just this morning.
And it just kind of built and built and built. So a church in California, they were holding a Black History Month event. I know a lot of churches do that. But here's the thing: is according to the church itself, which is, let me make sure I've got the right name of the church. It's a PCA church. Let's see here. It is the something church in California. Let me find it here. There it is. Okay, so it is
Resurrection.
Resurrection Oakland Church in Oakland, California. Which, and this is important to the story here, is apparently a very large church, very diverse, racially diverse church.
Yeah.
They are a Presbyterian church in America. So multiple pastors of different races.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of screenshots, I guess, from some of the recent services. You see some white folks, some Black folks, some Asian folks. So obviously, it's a multi-ethnic, congregation.
So as part of their Black History Month stuff, they decided to have like a dinner service, but it was only open to, in their words, Black worshipers.
Yeah.
So we're having a church event for Black History Month in this multi-ethnic church, but only the black worshipers, the Black congregants, are allowed at this particular event.
Not happening. Not happening in my church.
Well, I've never been to your church, but I could not imagine a church. You're still on the elder board, right?
I am. Yeah. And we are a multi-ethnic, multi-generational church. And that's an absolute no-go. Actually, if you suggest it, I will suggest that one of our pastors counsel you about your wrong-headed thinking.
Oh man.
Like that's what would happen at Allsfair Christian Church.
So here's what happened. Megan Basham from what is Megan doing now?
I guess she's kind of independent at this point.
She's kind of independent because she was, So, she's a real conservative, journalist, and she got into it.
She might have a show on like The Blaze, or something like that.
But she got into it with Anthony Bradley, and Anthony's been on this show. I actually know Anthony. Anthony's one of the resident scholars at the Acton Institute, along with Rachel, my wife, and so Anthony just kind of lost his stuff over the weekend over this. He's defending the church having a right to do this, basically saying you don't understand. We need our own space in some areas. If don't judge, you don't know the whole, that sort of thing. And Megan Basham is who's she's right on some things, she's wrong on some things.
Daily Wire, by the way.
Daily Wire. That's what. But she she basically said you're literally having a racially segregated event in your church.
Yeah. I mean, it was a standard, hey, segregation is wrong sort of post.
Right.
Basically and especially coming out of the church. That was her position.
Yeah.
Which I think is the right position.
Well, yeah, and on this one, I agree. And I get along fine with Anthony. I mean, I will tell you that what we saw,
his response,
that's not normal Anthony responses. I don't know. I mean, it feels like really ticked him off.
Feels like something was wrong there. Like he's going through something and he's taking it out on the back and forth there was very personal.
It got personal.
It was very what's the word where you not slander, but
well, I mean, he did get close to
you falsely call out people.
Yeah, because
he said she has daddy issues. Basically,
he did say that.
Yes.
Also, he got into it with one of the more conservative kind of influencers out there who happens to be Black.
Yep, Sam Hussein.
Yeah, Sam Hussein, and basically said he doesn't know what it's like to be Black.
Yeah, he said you're not part of the black community.
You're not part of the black community,
so you don't understand the experience.
And Anthony is not a full-on conservative, but he's not really a leftist. And
right.
So,
he's basically, a lot of these responses seemed like they were patent leftist responses to any sort of conservative discussion about racial issues in America. He pulled out the leftist handbook on how to respond, and he just read verbatim for 3 pages, as opposed to what we've seen from him in terms of his relatively conservative commentary on various things, particularly in religious
because that's really, I mean, he was a teacher.
That's his wheelhouse.
That's his wheelhouse. He was a professor at King's College in New York for a long time. He was there when unfortunately the King's College shut down. So he's up in Michigan now. And the bigger question then comes, because, for instance, this is one of the things that the last church that I went to, and I haven't gone back to a church since then, they do up Black History Month to a point of, I believe, idolatry. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging Black History Month, especially in a community like St. Louis. There's a very diverse mix of people, but there's a line to me that's not even very thin, that's pretty broad. Between recognizing that and making that your idolatry, which the church that I don't go to anymore is 100% guilty of.
I mean, and it's a similar thing as to, acknowledging other holidays too. I mean, like 4th of July for some churches becomes a let's worship America situation.
100% seen that.
Yeah.
100. That is 100% correct. Yes.
And that's not the same as acknowledging the special place that America holds in world history, in providing the freedoms that we have in church history. A lot of church history has happened within America. So that's not the same. It's one thing to acknowledge reality and look at it from a Christian perspective, and to celebrate even some of these things from a Christian perspective. And it's another to say, okay, we're going to dedicate this particular worship service to this particular worldly thing.
Right.
And I think there are a lot of churches who do the latter a lot more than they do the former.
I have seen especially in the Baptist circles, I have seen exactly that on the 4th of July. I have seen that over and over and over, and it is gross.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's idolatry.
It is. And it's in the same way we have this situation where Black identity has risen to something greater than Christian identity. And that let me put on my Christian theologian hat really quickly. The picture of what heaven is going to look like that's shown in Revelation, where all nations, peoples, tribes, tongues are worshiping at the foot of the throne of God, says that
not the Republican Party,
not the Republican Party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like they're not the RNC. The entirety of humanity and all the variations are represented there. That says that should inform us, along with the idea that there is no slave, Greek or Jew or slave free, that injunction, that we should not be respecter of persons, as it talks about in James. All of those things say to me that the Christian experience on earth should basically be practiced, right, for how we're supposed to interact with one another in our future state. So a suggestion that we should do the exact opposite of what the Bible says heaven will look like sounds like you're going down the wrong path.
PMS 3105 on Rumble says nothing like preaching love and acceptance by segregating people.
Yeah, it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. The idea of Christian love that does not respect the class or the race or the whatever of other people, and is rests specifically on your identity within Christ, says that all of this other stuff is going to take you down the wrong path.
Okay, so answer then the arguments that I saw going after Megan Basham and after, who was the other guys?
Samuel Say.
Samuel Say. I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, well, if that's the standard that you've got, I have to bob my head to do this, because I'm going to be the white woke want to be right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
If that's the standard you're going to have, then I guess we can't have ladies retreats and men's Bible studies and women's Bible studies and youth group where the adults are not allowed, or the senior citizens. I guess we can't have any of those either.
Well, all of those have a unique purpose because those things can be relevant to the way you relate to one another and to the Christian faith.
Could you say the same thing for people with skin who's black?
No.
Okay.
Because that's kind of the problem with having a racialized view of the world is you're elevating race, you're elevating cultural aspect, certain cultural aspects, you're elevating these superficial things to a level of significance in your life that is not warranted. That's the whole thing. That's where discrimination comes from. That's where these prejudices come from. It's like, I'm going to elevate your skin color to make a determining factor as to who you are as a person, and we reject that concept, on its face. But
which is exactly what that church does.
Which is exactly what that church was doing.
One of the reasons I left that church,
and that's different than me saying that your experience as a man is different than a woman's experience with it. Those things are significant.
Yeah.
We know it's significant because the Bible tells us it's significant. Men have this role, women have this role, children, you have this role. All of those things are elevated within the Bible as being relevant to your experience. You know what isn't? And it specifically said it is not relevant to your experience as Christianity is your culture, is your race. Guys, so this is not hard.
So Gabe has some strong feelings.
I have some strong feelings about this because I've kind of read through the Bible a few times. Since I was 5 years old. This stuff is real to me, and when people kind of they mischaracterize it, they misuse it, and they abuse it in the pursuit of whatever other agenda they might have, it really irks me.
Okay. Just so you know, I got to run out of here right after the show. I got to go to my meeting. You're not allowed. It's called Honkies for Jesus. Sorry,
not just honk for Jesus.
No, honkies.
Honkies.
Honkies. It's a subset of Crackers of Faith America. Yep.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin. Get up. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
Kash Patel now has control of the FBI. Cannot wait to see what he starts uncovering and where.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
Yeah, a lot of thoughtful conversation going on about that on Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get involved in that, check that out, our Facebook comments. And again, what really blew up is when Anthony responded, Anthony Bradley.
Yeah.
And I don't know Anthony that well, but it sure looked different than the Anthony Bradley I'm used to talking to. Once or twice a year I talk to him.
Well, I mean, and it seemed out of character to a lot of people a lot of blue checks that follow him. Also, Russell Taylor had a response. He was like, you genuinely confuse me. You're one of the most insightful and encouraging voices I follow, yet sometimes these insults and disrespect belittle yourself. The insults seem out of character. Yeah. And Anthony Bradley's response was, well, then I'll unfollow me, because when I was called the N-word for 7 years by people like Megan,
right,
and then ... It just kind of went on.
By the way, he never said Megan Basham called him that. It was people like her.
Yeah.
Well, really? Like who? Conservatives? What were you saying, Anthony? That was unwise.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep. All right, what's next for News Talk STL now that Dan Bongino is leaving? And if you're just waking up and turning on the radio, you're going, what?
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you up to date here in just a second. Don't forget our podcast, our on-demand listening. Subscribe to that. Whether it's just the whole station or this show or anything, but all of these conversations, discussions we have, easy to listen to them on your own time or send them to friends and family, put them on social media. We're going to talk, as a matter of fact, to Congressman Bob Onder here right around 7:35. All right. So I wake up and I go, usually one of the first things I do is just check the phone. What do I see? Well, I see a text from Stell, which is not unusual. And I see an email from the boss, which is not unusual. And both of them have to do with Dan Bongino.
Mm-hmm.
That's unusual. And what happened is, here's what happened is, Donald Trump announced that Dan Bongino has been picked to be the deputy director of the FBI, essentially be Kash Patel's right-hand man, his number two guy. And so that obviously means, and Dan Bongino's confirmed that he has taken that job. That means Dan Bongino's leaving radio. Dan Bongino's leaving News Talk STL. His last show will be on March 14th. And right off the bat today, I mean, I haven't seen any talking points or what his schedule is, but I'll bet all the money in my pocket against all the money in your pocket that he's going to lead off within that first block talking about what's happening with him in his future and why he decided to make this choice.
Yeah. And we got a lot of decisions to make on this side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we want you to help us.
That's right. Yeah. So this is this obviously really sucks for News Talk STL.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dan Bongino is one of the flagships. He's an
anchor.
Yeah. He's been with us since day one.
It's like losing your Sears and Roebuck in your strip mall.
That's right. Because then what happened? Yeah. Now we'll replace it. You know, we'll get by. But
we'll put a Montgomery Ward.
Oh man.
Remember them?
Jeez, yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, I had to put the Roebuck back on it just to get the time reference right.
So, but here's to go back with our history with Dan Bongino here. Back in those like uber secretive meetings where there were 5, 6, 7 of us who started this radio station, and I was there when we left the other station, and we knew we had that one midday time slot and a lot of choices. We knew we needed and we wanted a national figure in there as we started this radio station, even though we were going to be almost entirely local. And the number of local shows that we have on this station is so unusual in the business, just so unusual. And there were a number of choices out there, but as I recall, and for the other 5 or 6 people who were involved, if you remember something different, let me know. But here's how I remember it, is our boss, Jeff, said, here's who's available. Here's who we're talking to. Who do you guys think? And the answer was essentially around the room, why are we even talking about this? It's Bongino.
Yeah, it was obvious at the time.
It's obvious, which is basically, as I recall, Jeff went, that's what I thought. I just wanted
just checking.
I didn't want to prejudice you with the question. But because we knew we wanted to, go younger, we wanted to go more hard-edged. We wanted We wanted more freedom to critique the conventional thinking, whether it's on the left or the right. And so Dan's been the perfect fit. And so even though he's in Florida, he is a syndicated host. It's kind of weird, looking at this going, Dan's leaving.
Yeah, it's
Dan's
wild.
Dan's been really good to us here.
And it's not going to be long before, his replacement needs to show up. It's March, what was it?
14th.
March 14th, which is a Friday.
Yeah, that's his last show.
So we've got basically, I'll say this. The syndicators have a week to decide on who his replacement is.
Yeah, basically.
Because they're going to have to sell it and they're going to have to finalize a deal and then sell it to the radio stations. And there's a very short turnaround time before a lot of stations are going to have to be making a decision of what to do.
And unless they decide to rotate hosts, that would be something that a lot of radio stations may step back from because a lot of program directors don't like that idea.
Yeah.
Especially rotating hosts for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. I would not be wild about that, but I'm not the boss. Goat Lady just put on Rumble. Dan is putting service over self.
Absolutely.
So here's why she's right about that. There's no shortage of names out there who want to be national names
and voices.
I mean, I guarantee you, I would hate to be in my boss's position right now because everybody who's got a podcast in this country is emailing and trying to call every single talk radio station that carries Dan Bongino right now. Because you can go right to his website and see which stations are carrying it. So everybody who has a podcast now thinks that they're the heir apparent to Dan Bongino.
He's like, hey, look, I could be the next Bongino. You got to get on the ground floor with me.
And here's the thing is that most of the people in our business, and there are some that make, good livings at this.
Sure.
Very few are at that elite level. And Bongino has basically built an empire between his podcasting. And early on, when it was on Fox TV, remember he had that show on Fox TV, which he walked away from because he didn't need anymore.
Didn't need it.
And then with the syndicated radio, it's become incredibly lucrative. I wish people, and I don't know what his personal finance bank accounts, but he makes millions a year.
Yes.
And he should.
Yes.
And
his net worth is probably in the upper tens of millions, probably 100 million.
Maybe.
Plus.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So he can't do that by taking a deputy director at the FBI job.
No.
So people need to understand he is truly walking away from millions of dollars to serve in this capacity.
I couldn't imagine, because the thing is, Bongino has been likened to Rush in a lot of ways.
Some people have,
some people have likened him to Rush. Now, of course, Rush is legendary, but let's think about Rush at not quite the height of his popularity, but pretty close.
Yeah.
And him taking a position in, let's say the Reagan White House or something like that,
or Bush,
the Bush White House, and stepping down from the golden EIB microphone, right? That boggles the mind,
right? Yeah, and just like they said, you'll never replace Rush, which is true. Nobody really expected Bongino to be the guy that come closest enough to do that,
right?
Because the syndicators, said, here's the show that replaces Rush. Everybody just take this. And a lot of stations went,
maybe not.
We'll go do something else. And there's nothing wrong with the show that they put out there. It's fine. But Bongino just kind of raised himself up head and shoulders above the rest. And so now the question then is, who replaces Dan Bongino? I don't know if you actually replace Dan Bongino.
Right.
But who do you have in that role? There's no shortage of people out there, for instance, I know this is never going to happen. But I would love to see like Matt Kibbe do a syndicated show. You can see him on the Blaze TV.
Right.
But I would love to see Matt Kibbe take that next, step up. But I don't think, I talked to Matt like a month ago. I don't think he's got any interest in trying to do syndicated radio. He's doing well enough with Free the People and with Blaze TV. But there's a lot of names out there.
Yep.
A lot of names out there.
Ruthie, I actually haven't seen many posts from Ruthie. So welcome to the Rumble chat box family here. She mentioned a guy on another station.
Yeah, well, a syndicated
guy
show,
on another station. She's like, I'd love to have him, but I'd be happy with a local show in that slot.
I have actually received a couple of emails and a couple of texts with the same thing, with different names.
Right.
By the way, so what are we going to do? Let me tell you right now. Let me just put it to bed right now. I don't know.
Put it to bed.
No idea.
With the big IDK.
I don't know. Whether it's going to be another national person, because it is important to have a national handle on the national stuff.
Yes.
Or whether it's a different direction. I truly don't know the answer to that.
It's a toss up.
Keep sending me your suggestions and thoughts on it. I would love to know. All right, Congressman Bob Onder coming your way. The spending plan to keep the Trump tax cuts in place is halfway to the president's desk. Where do we go from here? We're going to ask Congressman Onder about that right around 7:34, right after some Larry Connors commentary. And I don't know what he's going to talk about.
Larry's going to talk about how daydreaming is used to drug children.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
What a turnaround in the weather department. My goodness, no Arctic outbreaks this week. No, more like a spring preview. And it starts with a high of 61 this afternoon under partly cloudy skies. Should be the first of 3 straight days with highs in the 60s. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight, down to 38 for the low. Tuesday, mostly sunny. We'll jump to 62 in the afternoon. Looks like low 60s again for Wednesday, but with a chance of rain by that point. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
Larry Connors commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit vincentsjewelers.com. This is Larry Connors commentary on News Talk STL.
How many times a day do you find yourself just daydreaming? Nothing specific in mind, kind of in your own world, just daydreaming. Is that wrong? Well, the American Board of Pediatrics has an exam that the doctors have to take from time to time. This is according to a pediatrician who wrote an essay for the Federalist. One question involves a 7-year-old child who is constantly not following instructions, not acting out, not being violent, just out of it, not paying attention, daydreaming. The question asked, as the child's pediatrician, what should you do? Well, the doctor wrote, I know the answer required for the test, but I don't want to give that answer. The answer was the child has ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which means the doctor should put the child on Ritalin, one of the many meds used to control kids. The doctor said these children are constantly being given mind-altering, soul-crushing stimulants, and they're being handed out like candy. He says that's why more kids are diagnosed and treated for ADHD than asthma when they were just daydreaming.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
My sponsor, Wellington Environmental, has helped thousands deal with hazardous materials. Hospitals, offices, schools, even homes. Here's something new. Wellington now offers dustless blasting. This is just like sandblasting, but without all the dust and emissions. Wellington uses everything from ground glass, walnuts, corn, even dry ice pellets. One university had Wellington remove their parking lot striping because dustless blasting is fast and it does not damage the concrete. So as a business or homeowner, I'm sure you could use this process. Industrial tanks, swimming pools, graffiti on buildings. And in fact, Wellington is blasting a Texaco station that will be revised as an historic building. Check the website for details and photos. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com.
Are you sitting on hidden treasure? Manchester Coin and Jewelry wants to turn your valuables into cash. We're Missouri's premier gold buyers and jewelry specialists with years of expertise. We offer top dollar for your coins, antiques, precious metals, and collectibles. From gold and silver to clocks and jewelry, we buy it all. Don't let your treasures collect dust. Let Manchester Coin and Jewelry give you the best value. Visit online at buyingvaluables.net or come see him today at 141 in Manchester and tell him Newstalk STL sent you.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the Newstalk STL app.
Newstalk STL.
Streaming live on the mobile app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the Newstalk STL app.
Anywhere.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on Newstalk STL.
Guys, I forgot to include in the news report the breaking news that happened just within the last 48 hours.
What's that?
Joy Reid, the readout.
Oh yeah, that's
on MSNBC.
right.
Yep.
Canceled. She's done.
Mhm.
I think she's got a few more shows. She's going to get to
Yeah.
say her goodbye, which, I mean, there's going to be like dozens of people who appreciate the fact that she's going to be able to say
They'll all be very joyful.
joyful, precisely.
I will disagree with you because every conservative show out there is going to clip the crap out of those last two shows, and all of us are going to enjoy the tearful farewell.
That's really all her show's been good for, is giving us material.
Yes,
to chomp on.
Yeah, exactly.
Because otherwise, I mean, this is a free market, and she's getting let go during Black History Month.
Yep. Yep. A number of people's like, oh, the fact that they're letting a black woman go in the Black History Month says so much about the leadership.
Oh, the irony.
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
exactly. At MSNBC, by the way.
Oh, at MSNBC.
They're saying, oh, MSNBC is so racist, essentially.
I haven't seen what's going to replace her. I mean, are they moving Jen Psaki in that? I don't know what they're going to do with that, but who knows? All right, 7:37 right now. Mike Ferguson here. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. Going to give them a second to try to recover from the news that Joy Reid's no longer going to be on the air. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to hit you with that.
Hurt my heart.
Joined now by Congressman Bob Onder. Bob, do you need a moment to reflect and memorialize the readout, which is out now at this
Well,
point?
good morning, guys. It is a time of deep sorrow, but I do have a poll going on Twitter right now.
Mm-hmm.
Will anyone miss Joy Reid's show? Yes, 5%, no, 52%, and what show? Who's Joy Reid? 43%.
Nice.
Oh my goodness, and that's your account's handle is tagged on ours.
I think her show only existed to provide material for shows like yours.
I think you're right. So I mean,
Reminds me of Cori Bush's candidacy.
Oh, that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's basically filled the same niche.
Yeah. I mean,
really
Bob,
really
I'm assuming you were never invited to be on the readout with Joy Reid.
I never was, and I'm deeply offended, and I think it's racist.
Yeah, he just went there. Oh my goodness. All right. So what was it? Friday, I think it was, the U.S. Senate passes. It's not a budget plan, but it's a spending plan. And so you've got in the House another spending plan you all are talking about now. The clock is ticking to some degree on this. And it seems to be, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, Bob, is that at least the first spending plan and vote, pretty important for the Republicans to be on the same page and be on the same page with the president. After whatever is agreed upon, it may be a knockdown drag out. But for the first one, especially, while Doge is trying to cut everything, it seems like there's a extra pressure on Republicans right now to get on the same page on the big stuff and get something agreed to. What's your read on what's happening in the House right now?
Yeah. So you're right. On Friday, the Senate passed their budget resolution. The previous Thursday, the House passed our budget resolution. And the big difference is the difference between a big, beautiful bill, one bill that would renew the Trump tax cuts, fund border security, border guards, build the wall, as well as institute sane energy policy, and at the same time cut spending to pay for it all, versus the Senate approach, which is to go ahead and do the border wall energy and defense part now, and then save the tax cut renewal to later on. Now, if I were really convinced that it all were going to happen, let's say by the fall of this year, I would be indifferent as to which of those two approaches we take. But I think many of us fear that if we kick the can down the road on the tax cut and spending cut renewal, that we won't do it, that we just flat out won't do it, and that it's great. We want to do border security as soon as possible, of course, but many of us, including my good friend Jason Smith, the chair of the Ways and Means Committee, and of course President Trump, believe that one big beautiful bill approach is the better one.
Morning, Bob. Gabe here. Now, you mentioned the spending cuts that are included in this approach here. Now, color me skeptical, but I've heard the idea of cuts before, and the tendency has been to describe reductions in growth as cuts, as opposed to real cuts. Now, which ones are we talking here?
Believe me, I am extremely skeptical because we've been hearing about cutting spending and cutting out waste, fraud, and abuse for generations. Democrats have even talked that way much of the time, and yet it's not happened. We are talking about real cuts in spending. So we're talking about, for instance, the Energy and Commerce Committee cutting out $850 billion. We're talking about the Education Committee cutting out $350 billion. We're talking about real cuts. And that's where, I have some trepidation because unfortunately, I know this will come as a shocker. There are Republicans who don't want to cut spending, that the minute the Democrats and the left start talking about, oh, you're going to cut Medicaid, all of a sudden they get weak-kneed and retrench. So I want to make it 100% clear. No one's talking about Social Security cuts. No one's talking about Medicare cuts. And no one's really talking per se about cutting Medicaid. What we're talking about is ending waste, fraud, and abuse. We're talking about Medicaid work requirements, and we're talking about, just rolling back some of the ridiculous expansion that's happened over these past few years. When not only did we have Obamacare Medicaid expansion, Biden care Medicaid expansion, but then states were not checking eligibility for a long period of time. There is so much waste in that program. We need to reform it badly. But yeah, do I believe all my Republican colleagues are equally committed to that? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, and I want to also just remind everybody that with the Trump tax cuts, if you don't do something proactively to extend them, they automatically expire and our taxes go up. This is the perfect case scenario for the Democrats, who might get tax increases but also be able to point and blame the Republicans for it going into the next election cycle. So that's what I was talking about with that pressure on, because the way that the Trump tax cuts were done, it is a matter of they automatically continue until somebody changes it. They expire, and you have to proactively legislate them to remain in existence.
That is completely true. No, the Democrats were deeply committed to ending the Trump tax cuts. Kamala Harris was very clear about that. The House and Senate Democrats are very clear they will not help Republicans extend the 2017 Trump tax cuts, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, which means the Democrats are very much in favor of a 22% tax increase across the board, the largest tax increase in U.S. history. The average family would pay $1,500 more per year in taxes. That's on top of the hidden inflation tax of $8,100 in the last 4 years because of the inflationary policies of Biden and a Democrat Congress. So this is the road to economic catastrophe. The way to get our economy going again is really very simple: to rein in spending, to renew the Trump tax cuts, and restore sensible energy policy, which all by itself would cut the inflation rate. But Democrats are fighting us on every one of those agenda items.
Bob, does the legislation in question make the Trump tax cuts permanent? Speaking of their expiration date, and also beyond that, are there other tax cuts kind of on the agenda of being implemented?
Yeah, well, the tax cuts, the budget reconciliation passed by the House would make the tax cuts permanent, and of course that's one of the areas, making just extending them, let's say 5 years. That's one of the things that could be done to quote save money, make the cuts have less effect on our budget. But we need to make them permanent because job creators, businesses, they crave certainty about the future. That's what causes them to invest in plant and equipment and hire people and get our economy going. And we in our personal budgets need certainty, knowing what our taxes are going to be down, not just this year or next year, but down the road. So making the tax cuts permanent is something Donald Trump has advocated for, and something that we want to see happen in the U.S. House as well.
Okay, just got a minute or so left, Bob. But what's your read in the House? I mean, obviously there's some contact with the Senate as well, but are Republicans focused on at least getting this one right? I mean, I'd love to see an actual permanent annual budget, but I don't think that's going to be in the cards for this. But at least for this one, do the Republicans seem united enough to pull off something smart?
Yeah, I think the Trump tax cuts will get renewed. I will give major credit at the end of the day, not only to the leadership of the U.S. House, but of course, most of all, to President Trump. That it will take the kind of political skills of President Trump to pull this off. But I think we do it.
Okay.
All right.
Congressman Bob Onder, appreciate you being on the program again. We'll look forward to getting the other update later on this week. But yeah, Godspeed as we're trying to keep the train on the rails there, at this point. Pretty tough, pretty important time, I would say, probably in the next, 60 days?
60 days, yeah. That will be in Trump's first 100 days will be critically important, and we can't blow it. It's just too important.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon, Congressman. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. Have a great week.
You too. All right. So a lot going on, including when it comes to having a great week, like the Congressman just said. What is ahead? Like what cool days are there? You happen to know that, right?
I happen to know the things.
Because let's give you something good right around 7:50.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Clint Black in concert. Clint Black, an incredible night featuring some of his greatest hits. Saturday, April 12th, 7 p.m., the Family Arena. Clint Black in concert. Special guests Ruby Lee and Emily Ann Roberts. On sale now at the Carroll House Furniture box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. Don't miss Clint Black.
When you've been hurt in an accident, you need a law firm that wins. Onder wins. For over 100 years, Onder Law has been winning for St. Louis. With over $5 billion in negotiated settlements and over $300 million in verdicts, Onder wins. Voted best law firm by STL Today 2 years in a row, Onder wins. Whether it's settlements, verdicts, or awards, Onder wins. If you've been hurt in a car accident, trucking accident, or hurt on the job, Onder Law will get you the money you deserve. At Onder Law, winning is what we do. So when the stakes are high, Onder wins. Call us today for a free consultation. We don't get paid unless we win for you. Dial 314 or 6189 million. That's 314 or 6189, then all zeros. Or visit us online at onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Was a ruby that you wore.
Oh, goodness. All right. We got a big news dump, including the big announcement that came from Donald Trump that's affecting News Talk STL directly.
Yeah.
We got a big change coming here. We're going to tell you about that in the news dump right around 8:05. Right now it's 7:50. Let's get the week started off right, Gabe.
Tell me something good.
Tell me something good.
Jake Jarvis runs precision grading construction and demolition. And since Helene has been completing tens of thousands of dollars in construction work pro bono, including demolishing houses, building bridges, and clearing river crossings. So, quote, I couldn't give them an estimate, so I just said, well, I'll just do it,
Whoa.
Jarvis said. Jarvis told ABC News that he has a list of 29 to 30 people who need help immediately. So, an elderly couple was walking a half mile every day to town because river crossing was impassable in their vehicle. Jarvis flattened it out, accepting only donations to fund the work among many, many, many other projects.
And, I guess he could try to put something into insurance, but the bottom line is he's just losing money out of pocket to help people out.
Absolutely. And he's been there for weeks now. And he's funding this out of his own savings, as well as through donations. And he doesn't even have a GoFundMe. He's like, send checks to this address in North Carolina.
So here's the thing is, so when it comes time to rebuild and you get that insurance check, hire that guy.
Hire that guy. Yeah. Absolutely.
Tell me something good.
As reported by the American Red Cross Malibu resident, Johnny Constantine might have saved himself first, but instead raced towards the fire as it approached his friend's house, determined to ensure they escaped as well. So smoke and embers from the recent Franklin fire filled the air as the red glow illuminated his friend's backyard. Quote, I saw the lights were out, but the bell worked. I kept hitting the button and yelling from their gate to wake up, Constantine recounted. The fire was so close, the smoke, red glow, embers looked like it was going to come over the hill onto their property at any moment.
I've never been in a wildfire, but seeing the video of it may be like the closest we're ever going to experience to hell on this side of that.
It's terrifying to watch, especially how quickly they can move.
Yeah.
So after 15 to 20 tense minutes of honking, shouting, and ringing the bell, his friends finally woke up and escaped just as the fire neared their home. Quote, I didn't leave until they were safe, Constantine said. I love this story because I know it's just one of many of people looking out for each other in the midst of tragedy.
Tell me something good.
A group of beavers has outdone their government by completing a project in 2 days that administrators had been planning for years. This is my favorite of the stories today. Officials in the Czech Republic were 7 years into a project to fix an old drainage system that was drying out important wetlands when a colony of 8 beavers took matters into their own paws. Without a single meeting, permit, or penny of taxpayer money, the beavers built several dams over the course of 2 days in the exact location that the government had been planning to build theirs. Environmental experts inspected the site and confirmed that the work was actually better than their original plans.
You know what? I just say this goes to show that a lot of times stop electing those rats and elect the other rodents. They'll do a better job.
Just leave it to beaver.
Leave it to beaver. Nice. Well done, Stel. There you go. Ultimately, the beaver dams have saved the endangered wetlands and saved taxpayers over $1 million over in the Czech Republic.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Tell me something good.
All right. To help you plan to have a good week, Tuesday is National Clam Chowder Day.
Ooh, I'm ready for that.
Clam chowder.
Awesome.
Now, okay.
Not me. I'm allergic.
That's right. You're allergic to shellfish. That's right.
Yeah.
Mike's out of there. But Stel, which is your favorite? The red out of Manhattan or the white out of New England?
The white.
Yeah.
That's the only clam chowder that makes sense to me. Look, I'm from New York, but still, the white clam chowder.
In the restaurant
what are you
business,
even doing?
My dad is a Greek guy.
Yeah.
Made awesome New England clam chowder for our restaurant. One place here that folks may not realize has really good clam chowder is Blue City Deli.
All right.
In South City, but they only do it, I think, maybe on Fridays.
Oh, man.
For a few months.
So you're going to miss the Tuesday, which is National Clam Chowder Day.
You're right.
Maybe they ought to make a special exception.
Yeah.
Wednesday is National Pistachio Day. It's like we're reaching the bottom of the nut barrel on that one.
I love pistachios.
But pistachios are really good.
Yeah.
I do like pistachios.
And there were some other with the hurricanes. There were some other types of nuts that the crop's been wiped out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So there's a shortage on some of these.
At least we still have those.
That's
and
right.
You probably see them all the time in dugouts.
Yes.
Baseball players love pistachios.
Yep, that's true.
Thursday is National Chili Day. I'm excited for that. Now, we just had a chili competition at my church on Sunday, so that was fun. And Friday is National Chocolate Souffle Day. So we can get fancy with our desserts. And of course, today is National Tortilla Chip Day. So be sure to get out to your nearest Mexican restaurant
and bring me some.
Yes.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I was a judge at a chili cook-off once. Never again.
No. Oh no.
Never again.
That didn't work out well for you.
I'm gonna leave it at that. Never again. Nope.
But that's okay. I'm definitely going to enjoy my National Chili Day on Thursday, and hopefully you have a good week too.
Yeah. Well, to judge it, you just have to eat a lot of chili.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. All right. That is telling me something good here. Yeah, I saw the thing about Tortilla Chip Day. And here's the problem with Tortilla Chip Day.
What's that?
You eat one or two, and then you have to eat.
You have to rate the rest.
Yeah, and like if you go to a Mexican restaurant, and I love Mexican food.
Oh, that basket of freshly made, in-house fried tortilla chips. Oh boy,
I will undo all of my clean eating for weeks, and I will have like 3 or 4 of those things with the queso, with the the
house-made salsa,
the salsa.
Oh man, oh yeah. See, now today's the day.
You're going.
So I'm going.
and feel free to bring some back to me.
Okay.
But just understand my weakness.
I may not leave any for you.
That's
because I have the similar weakness.
All right. Big announcement was just made over the last 24 hours, and it affects News Talk STL. I'm going to tell you what's happening with that, because there is a big change coming. I will give you all the details. I suspect there might be something in our national news information segment here in just a moment. And then right around 8:35, let's look forward. We are going to get an update of what's happening at Jefferson City. They're actually getting some stuff done. So State Representative Jim Murphy is going to be with us for that update. Don't forget, our new app is going to be launched any time now.
It's imminent.
Go ahead and download the app and then just get the upgrade when it happens. But that's coming your way like anytime now.
St. Louis's #1 choice for conservative talk. This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. Mike Ferguson, Tim Jones, Dan Bongino, Tony Colombo, Vic Borselli, Chris Arps, Ken Williams, Larry Connors, Gabe Pfeiffer, Joe Pags, Randy Tobler, Jamie Allman. #1 for the most live and local conservative talk. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Still 100% George Soros free.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. As the war in Ukraine marks its third anniversary, at least they're talking about talking peace. Today, President Zelensky hosting European leaders and the Canadian Prime Minister in Kiev.
President Zelensky has spoken. He's talked about Vladimir Putin not wanting to exchange something for peace. He's looking at summits like these for Ukraine and the countries around it to come up with its own proposal to counter what Russia is seeking to do. He's proposed a complete prisoner of war exchange to kick things off in this peace process. It's been a rare area of cooperation between Ukraine and Russia, and he suggested that all POWs would be exchanged as a first stage.
The BBC's James Waterhouse in Kiev. French President Macron says he'll advise President Trump against being weak in his dealings with Russian President Putin. Macron says he'll be delivering that message today when he visits the White House. Well, you might think Mexico's government would be a Trump ally in the war on drug cartels. You might think wrong.
After the United States designated 6 Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and plans to eradicate them, Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum made changes to that country's constitution that would essentially block any investigation or action by foreign law enforcement agencies without their permission. Sheinbaum's been harshly criticized by political opponents and news outlets in Mexico in the past for appearing to protect drug cartels from the U.S. government. Tasha Stevens reporting.
The FBI getting a new deputy director whose name is familiar to many. President Trump announcing the appointment of Dan Bongino as Director Kash Patel's right-hand man. And Starbucks announcing plans to lay off 1,100 corporate employees worldwide. Wall Street head of this morning's opening bell. Dow futures up 252 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 103. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, it's big. Rob Schmidt recently beat CNN in key ratings as millions are tuning into Newsmax. Every night, Rob Schmidt is on Newsmax revealing the truth about Elon Musk's Doge. Tune in tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern and find out why Rob is the hottest person in cable news. Even President Trump is watching, and he says Newsmax is terrific. Reuters Institute reports that Newsmax is now one of the top news brands in America. Find out why. Just check out Newsmax on your cable system. Get Rob Schmidt with Greta Van Susteren, Rob Finnerty, and much more. Download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone or home TV to start watching. It takes just seconds. With Newsmax Plus, you can watch our great shows anytime. Go to newsmaxplus.com and start your free trial. That's newsmaxplus.com. Make the switch to...
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
What a turnaround in the weather department. My goodness, no Arctic outbreaks this week. No, more like a spring preview. And it starts with a high of 61 this afternoon under partly cloudy skies. Should be the first of 3 straight days with highs in the 60s. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight, down to 38 for the low. Tuesday, mostly sunny. We'll jump to 62 in the afternoon. Looks like low 60s again for Wednesday, but with a chance of rain by that point. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for Customer Satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing, you can count on Connor.
Is your biggest life decision just around the corner? For over 30 years, Jim Mull of Caldwell Banker Gundaker has turned real estate dreams into reality. More than just a realtor, Jim is your personal advocate, armed with unmatched market expertise and negotiating prowess. Whether you're searching for the perfect home or selling your property for top dollar, Jim and his dedicated team deliver results you can trust. Call 314-280-7878 or visit jimmole.com today.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Gabe Pfeiffer.
There's something serious I have to tell you about the future.
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Will you guys knock it off?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin Bob.
All right. Got a big change coming to News Talk STL. You probably heard the news. Dan Bongino leaving radio. Give you the details on that just ahead here. The city settles with a young volleyball player whose life was changed because of the downtown crash 2 years ago. And also, we got some sports going on again. We had kind of a desert of sports for a little bit. The Blues are back in action. The Cardinals are back in action. We'll bring you up to what happened there. 8:05 right now. Let's go and dump some news on you.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the morning news dump.
All right, you probably heard the news already. Dan Bongino has been named the new deputy director of the FBI to serve basically as Kash Patel's right-hand man in overhauling the agency. That obviously means he has to leave broadcasting, he has to leave his podcasting, and his last show here on News Talk STL is going to be March 14th.
It's coming fast.
He's been with us since day one.
Yeah.
He is one of the most successful radio hosts and most successful podcasters, because a lot of times it's one or the other. He's both.
Yeah, he's got them.
And so he is literally walking away from millions of dollars to serve in the Trump administration.
Yeah, it's definitely a personal sacrifice on his part. Now, I gotta wonder though, why? No, okay. Let me back up. He's definitely is in the FBI is definitely in his wheelhouse. Law enforcement, I think, is in his blood. He was a cop. He was a Secret Service. You know, he talks from that perspective, even on his show. So I can see that aspect of it. But he's got so much more influence, so much more wide of an audience that he can affect so much more in the political realm from behind that microphone. So I suppose maybe he's just this is just where his heart is.
Yeah.
And he's just following because Trump personally made I imagine he personally made this
so it's probably
request here.
Now at 11, probably right around 11:04, 11:05 when Bongino comes on the air here. We're going to hear from him directly.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll
tell us about it.
They haven't given us an announcement as to what his first block looks like, but I can't imagine that he doesn't tell us why he's made this choice. And then where do we go from here? I have no idea. No idea. I know that there are a lot of options on the table, but who would you love to see in that role come, I guess the 14th is, you said that was a Friday, right, Stel? Yeah. Okay. So that would be this Monday, the 17th. Who do we want to see on or here on News Talk STL at 11 a.m.?
3 weeks. Actually, yeah, 3 weeks from today.
Wow.
That's so not very much time.
No, not at all. All right. Let's see here. Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, lays out her vision for what she wants to do during her tenure in that role. She was on the new show on Fox called My View with Laura Trump. And Gabbard says she wants to balance national security with the constitutional rights that are guaranteed to us.
We've seen people in positions of great power tell us that, oh, well, you know, if we just violate your civil liberties and freedom a little bit, it's okay because we're trying to keep you safe.
Okay, 100% the right approach by Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the only thing I want to hear from somebody in that particular position.
Right, because for too long under both Republicans and Democrats, and this really ramped up under Republicans, it was, if you got nothing to hide, don't worry about the government getting into your business because we have to protect ourselves from the terrorists. And we know that is, first of all, it's not true that we have to give up our rights and liberties in order to protect ourselves from the terrorists. It does make it more difficult, but it's more important the government stays in its lane. We have seen year after year after year after year after year of abuse of government by government once they're giving more power for, you know what, just give up a little bit. They never take just a little bit.
Yeah. They always take a whole much more, big bite more than that.
Okay, the Senate approves a $340 billion spending plan as we headed into the weekend, and that bill is going to provide funding, if it's passed, for many aspects of President Trump's agenda, including mass deportations of illegal aliens. Senator John Cornyn, Republican out of Texas, was on Sunday Night in America with Trey Gowdy on Fox, and he says, obviously, the Senate and the House have to come to a consensus in order to get this to the president's desk.
It's going to be a challenge, but we don't have any choice but to deal with these issues. And we particularly are not going to allow a multi-trillion-dollar tax increase on 62% of American taxpayers, which would happen if we did not extend the expiring tax provision.
And we just spoke with Congressman Bob Onder about that, and you can get that on our podcast probably here in the next few hours or so. Okay, the city of St. Louis has settled with Janae Edmondson. Now, you remember she's the young volleyball player who lost her legs in a downtown car crash about 2 years ago. The civil trial was scheduled to begin next week, but now the case has been settled. Edmondson is going to be paid $450,000 from the city, which to me seems like not very much money.
I got to tell you, I'm shocked. I thought it would be 10 times that amount.
Yeah, the same. Now, Edmondson's lawyer is saying to media that there is basically a cap on civil lawsuit awards.
Yeah, some sort of tort.
Yeah, some
limitation.
sort of tort reform from several years ago. So he's arguing, because I think the general reaction is that's it.
Yeah,
that's probably barely going to cover the cost of her prosthetic legs, and there's no way that's ever going to come anywhere near covering her hospitalization stay, not to mention all of the alterations that everything around her is going to have made for the rest of her life. This doesn't come anywhere near to compensating her for what was lost.
Right.
So that's where it's at, though.
Yeah, I really wish there was some way that she could get more out of the city.
Yeah.
It may be a second lawsuit, maybe suing somebody else for something different. I don't know. It's like there's got to be something. I don't know if her GoFundMe is still up though. That may be.
It is. It's still up there.
That may be another way.
And St. Louis responded very generously.
Yes, as they should.
As well. I mean, we've done our part, but I was hoping that the city would take a gut punch just so they would be forced into looking in the mirror and making me change.
True.
All right. Nationally, gas prices actually gone up over the last couple of weeks. Not much, but a little bit. Oil industry analyst Trilby Lundberg, publisher of the Lundberg Survey, tells us a little bit more.
The price moved up nearly 7 cents in the past 2 weeks to $3.25.
Okay, so she says that the prices are likely to continue to rise, but part of that is due to the extremely cold weather in the east, which affected distribution, and also a refinery fire in California as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I bet, and it was gonna be a total guess before you even said it, that the refineries were probably a choke point in supply, because they currently are a choke point in supply. I think one thing that this administration needs to do is they need to authorize the production or the construction of at least one more refinery, then we can see this whole thing open up.
Yeah, and refineries can be built relatively quickly. I mean, not like within weeks or months or anything. I mean, it takes a year or two to get those, but relatively compared to some other stuff as well.
Usually the permitting that prevents them from doing it.
I saw, was it Saturday? I think I saw $289, which to me is about the same price that we've seen. So I don't know that we've seen much of an increase here in this area.
Not so much.
Seems like the increase here was a week or two ago when it went from $279 to $289.
Yeah. But that's what I saw last.
You're right.
$289.
Yeah, I think we get our gas from the refinery in the Gulf of America.
There you go.
I'm just saying.
All right. The Cardinals lose Sunday's spring training game. Final was Astros 11, Cardinals 6. By the way, multiple reports are now saying that the Astros are trying again to trade for Nolan Arenado as well, and that he hasn't said no this time.
Right.
Because he was looking at a different team, and they were like, yeah, we're kind of stocked, and we've already spent $1 bazillion on other players. So I don't know. We'll see. We don't know that Nolan Arenado is going to remain a Cardinal.
So during that game, were they making eyes at him from the
dugout? I know, kind of blowing him kisses.
Yeah, just a little, let's slip off the shoulder there.
Oh, man. All right.
I wonder if the Astros have some pitching that would be available. I'm not familiar with their staff at all.
Yeah. I mean, they're a competitive team.
Be nice if we could get some good pitching.
Yeah. Redbirds play the Mets this afternoon at 12:05. Blues won 3-1 yesterday over the Avalanche at Enterprise. Braden Shen, Colton Parayko, and Dylan Holloway all had goals in the second period. Jordan Bennington had 28 saves. Blues homestand continues Tuesday. It's not today, but tomorrow when the Kraken are in town.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Capistrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill. The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Attention gun owners, this is Aaron Dorr with Shall Not Be Infringed, inviting you to the big St. Charles County Gun Show happening March 7th, 8th, and 9th at the Steel Shop Athletic Center in St. Charles. This show has 500 tables of handguns, rifles, shotguns, ammo, and more. The fun begins Friday, March 7th at 4 p.m. and continues all weekend. Admission is just $14 and it's good for all 3 days. Kids 12 and under get in for free, and there's discounts for veterans, first responders, and anyone that mentions Aaron sent me. More info at bkpromotions.us.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Vic and Ken. We're on 9 to 11 every Monday through Friday on News Talk STL. Kenny, how are you?
I'm good.
You know, you got to be some kind of weirdo to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do radio.
You do, believe me.
And that weirdo is Mike Ferguson in the morning show on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh.
All right. There is an unusual amount of big stuff that's happening right now for a Monday.
It's a busy Monday because it was a busy Sunday.
Very busy.
Yep.
So you've already heard the news. Dan Bongino is leaving radio.
Yeah.
He has been asked to be the deputy director of the FBI by President Trump, and he's taken the job offer. So his last day on the air here at News Talk STL is going to be March 14th, which means there's a massive change that's coming here to News Talk STL. We don't know what that change is. I'm going to go back to the Rumble chat box to see what the other suggestions are coming, because, man, we've got a lot of people with a lot of thoughts on that.
Yeah. Mike just called in and suggested, hey, how about letting Vic and Ken go for a couple more hours? Hey, we'll toss that in the bucket.
Could be national, could be local. Who knows?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it's a big bucket right now.
It is.
Of choices.
And a lot of scrambling. Our boss actually came in during the last information segment. I'm like, so is your email and phone going crazy? He's like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. He was like, I didn't even know you were
nationally
syndicated.
And here's the thing. Somebody puts up a show on YouTube and claims that they're a national show.
Yeah.
So here's what happens. Here's the way this works in media. There are only so many spots out there on the air.
Yes.
So what's happening is the company that is responsible for Dan Bongino's show, which is Westwood One, they now will come to all the affiliates and say, here's our new host. Let's keep going. Just keep our show. Let's just keep going, that sort of thing.
Right.
They could also, as you've mentioned, Stell, say, all right, we're going to rotate with these hosts for a little while, and then we're going to settle in on somebody. I don't think that would be a very smart thing to do. I think they would probably lose. I think people want a lot of certainty, especially with everything that's going on around the country and in the world. I think there's a lot of pressure on them to say, here's the new host. I have no idea who that would be. Bongino's got some pretty decent backup hosts, the people to fill in.
Yep.
But I don't know what that would be. Then there's obviously the plethora of other national figures, whether it's under other syndicated programs or whether it's like people from the Daily Wire, Blaze TV, wherever else that are out there. So there's a lot of names. And then I've taken a bunch of emails and text messages just personally, in addition to other people pointing out, hey, how about somebody else local as well? Just stay local from 5:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. That would be almost unheard of, but being local for that entire time, except for 3 hours with Bongino, is unheard of as well.
Yeah, Ruthie was mentioning the fill-in host again, and Stell, you mentioned this earlier that could possibly fill the void there. You got Vince Coglianese.
Yeah, I think he might be the guy in New Orleans.
Yeah,
Possibly.
I'm sure I butchered his name. I'm sorry, Vince. And then there's Kira Davis, who's a friend of the station. She's been on with us before.
Lisa Booth is another one.
Yeah, and by the way, Kira's already said that she has not been contacted about this. Now, it doesn't mean she won't be. I mean, this is literally less than 24 hours, but Kira's already said she hasn't heard from anybody.
Right.
I don't know about the other one, but looking at, and of course, a lot of those suggestions are coming in, and a lot of conversation about it. I have no idea what direction we're going to go.
Yeah.
Dan Bongino's been with us from day one. When we were putting this station together. That was pretty much, as I recall, the consent. And I'm only saying pretty much in case I'm not remembering somebody who had a different opinion. But as I recall, when we talked about which national, anchor we're going to have in the middle of the day, we all were like, Bongino.
Yeah,
this is
pretty much cut and
perfect
dried.
fit for what we're looking to do. So where do we go from here? I have no idea, and I don't know what the timetable is, other than it's going to be before March 14th.
Yeah.
That's when we're going to find out more.
PMS 3105 on Rumble, makes this really cogent point here. I think Bongino's success was helped by his unique perspective, being a former NYPD officer and Secret Service agent. So, that unique perspective, which he's obviously bringing into his new role in the FBI, is the thing that is essentially irreplaceable about him.
Right.
I mean, there's that and his own personal it factor, right, which all kind of contributed to his success. All of that now is basically gone. So now we have to find a new perspective and a new it factor that can fill the shoes, sort of, because it's certainly you can't find somebody to replace him. He's so unique.
Yeah. So, got some thoughts or suggestions? We're watching. Send them to us.
Here's another interesting suggestion from Buck Nasty 27. That's an interesting.
That's an interesting one. Yeah.
Megyn Kelly. That would be.
Wow.
Interesting.
Different.
Except that she's kind of made the transition to podcasting
Yeah.
well that she may not want to be pulled away from that.
I could see that working.
That could work.
Yeah.
She definitely has a unique perspective. Now they'd have to censor her because she loves dropping her F-bombs.
She loves dropping F-bombs. By the way, did you see she was really mad over the weekend?
I didn't.
And I guess, is this true that the Philadelphia Eagles have said they are going to decline the trip to the White House to do the photo op with the president after winning the Super Bowl?
Really?
Yeah. And so she was hopping mad about that. And I didn't see, that's the only place I saw was on Megyn Kelly's social media that was happening. But she was, let's just say that she was not impressed.
She was impressed.
And I think her husband's a big Eagles fan too.
She did say that too. Yeah.
Okay. So there's your little consternation.
So, the boss is here.
We can't do Megyn Kelly. We'd have to bleep half.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
it
what we
would
were
be
thinking.
like a long bleep the whole time. Precisely.
Yeah, she loves her F-bombs, man.
Right. Yeah, precisely. But yeah, I mean, assuming that's that also could be in the news today, if that's true. If it is, it's just silly on the Eagles' part. I mean, I don't care who the president is. It's kind of a tradition. Is it a silly tradition? Sure, but you get that should be one of those few nonpartisan things. So if that's actually true and they're declining it, it's just silly. There's no reason for it. Joy Reid. She ends her show saying read out.
Peace.
Matter of fact, that's what her show's called, is the readout.
Yep. So now it's Reid is out.
Reid is out. MSNBC acknowledging that they have decided to end her show. I do think she's got like this week left.
Yeah, she's got a farewell tour kind of do her. I imagine.
And her, I mean, dozens of of watchers and listeners are going to be very appreciative of that last week. Of course,
that's an overestimate.
And and they're canceling the show because of just poor ratings.
Yeah.
And the funny part is that probably the fact of the matter is that she's getting more attention now for getting fired.
Yes.
Than she does when she's actually on the air, because she really is that irrelevant.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, other than being a fodder for shows like this, what does she actually do? She just says dumb stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. And she rants about it, and she takes the worst position ever and defends it to the death.
Yep.
And we all just point and laugh essentially, and do things. She was essentially the Cori Bush of broadcasting, where because Cori, the niche that Cori Bush fit in the political landscape was she was the fodder Republicans use to fundraise. They'd get a clip of her saying something stupid or nasty or evil, and they'd say, "See, Democrats are crazy. Give us money," and it worked every single time.
I said it during the primary election between her and Wesley Bell. I said, believe me, Republicans all over the country want Cori Bush to win that race.
Oh, absolutely.
Just so that they can take those clips and raise money and run all over the country. So when Wesley Bell beat Cori Bush, that was better for Democrats all over the country.
Exactly. So now you have basically the same thing in Joy Reid in terms of broadcasting. Yeah. She was MSNBC's, Cori Bush. So we would get the clips of the readout from that night. It was like, look how crazy MSNBC is.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much it. That's how it worked.
They'll probably replace her with somebody who's just as crazy, but more articulate.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
I mean, I say articulate, I mean, able to talk a normal people's sort of, across the spectrum of politics, at least to make an argument for terrible ideas.
I can see a Jen Psaki fitting that bill.
And I don't watch a lot of MSNBC. So does Jen Psaki have a show now?
I think she does.
Yes, she does.
Okay. I don't know if she's moving. If I were them, I would move Jen Psaki there, because Jen Psaki is a good communicator.
Yes.
She's wrong about basically everything.
Yes.
But she's a good communicator and doesn't come across as crazy. Her opinions are not going to be that much different than Joy Reid. She'll just seem less crazy.
Yeah. And so that makes Jen Psaki the Wesley Bell of
there you go.
Pretty much.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, more tolerable.
A more tolerable, crazy leftist. Yes,
oh,
exactly.
My goodness. All right, let's see here. What else? Elon Musk has alerted all the federal employees, and the deadline's today.
Yeah.
You must reply back to Doge with a list of things you did on your job last week.
5 things.
And if you don't, we are taking that as a resignation and you're fired.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Okay. So there's a lot going on with this.
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
So let's look at a couple things that can be true at the same time. One, that sort of demand of employees is nothing unusual in a lot of different workplaces.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of us have daily meetings, to go over the things we did yesterday.
Right.
We justify our existence constantly in the private sector.
Yeah. So that's not unusual.
Right.
And this is not a massive ask.
Right.
Now, here's the other part.
Assuming you did anything.
Assuming you did something.
Yeah.
So here's the other part of this is even the Department of Defense, being led by Pete Hegseth, Department of, National Intelligence, led by Tulsi, people who are very loyal to Donald Trump, they've told their department, no, don't worry about it. You don't have to comply with that.
Right.
Stop. So the question then comes to Elon Musk is acting as though he is the sole authority
over all departments,
every single employee. And you've got a lot of people who came on board to work with Donald Trump saying, whoa, we're here to clean house and we're closer to the people. So is it a good idea to be able to justify what you do? Absolutely.
Yes.
Do probably most federal employees need to be off the payroll and doing something productive instead? Absolutely. Is it possible that Elon Musk has gotten way over his skis and is making threats and claims that he has no authority to back up?
So somebody overstepped with this email.
Yeah.
This actually should have been a coordinating email with the heads of these various departments to say, we need to take, as a body, we should maybe as more of a suggestion than a demand, we should take inventory of all of our workers to make sure that they're all actually accomplishing something and doing something. Take inventory of it. And for those who apparently cannot do so, we suggest this.
Yeah.
You know, that would probably been a good email to send to the heads of these various departments, as opposed to basically hitting reply all to the federal government .gov email system and just trying to get everybody to comply to that.
So here's the thing is, I don't want to see Elon having this power go to his head, get in the way of the good work that's being done by Doge.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so that's, the chaos and the slashing and the burning is absolutely part of the success, but don't overstep. Let's do it the right way. It's being done the right way. And a lot of big stuff's being done and getting done. So make sure that you don't nuke your own success.
Exactly. Now, mixing together, just before we head off to our information segment, just mixing together our discussion about MSNBC and these Doge's slashing of federal workers. MSNBC recently just dropped a sort of insane anti-Doge propaganda piece on their TikTok account, apparently, where they just had federal workers coming on talking about the wonderful work that they all used to do. You did not have anything like this for the victims of Helene who were sleeping outdoors because they got kicked out of a hotel. You didn't even have this for the federal workers who were released from employment because they wouldn't take the jab.
How about all the workers who had to go find other employment after the Keystone Pipeline was canceled?
Yeah, that's right.
On day one.
Nobody cried a river for those guys.
Nope, precisely.
And also, speaking of MSNBC, Buck's mom mentions that the replacement for Joy Reid, instead of Jen Psaki, she says that it's Michael Steele, the guy who's still associated with the RNC, but he's more of a Democrat.
He's
and two other co-hosts who I think might be women. So
Michael
those
Steele.
three. Yeah, isn't that odd?
Look how bipartisan we are.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that MSNBC could not replace Joy Reid with somebody who's not black.
That's a good point. That's true.
Especially during February.
They need cover.
Yeah.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
What a turnaround in the weather department. My goodness, no Arctic outbreaks this week. No, more like a spring preview. And it starts with a high of 61 this afternoon under partly cloudy skies. Should be the first of 3 straight days with highs in the 60s. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight, down to 38 for the low. Tuesday, mostly sunny. We'll jump to 62 in the afternoon. Looks like low 60s again for Wednesday, but with a chance of rain by that point. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
President Trump called out the governor of Maine to her face for not complying with the executive order on women's sports. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us. And it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
I thought the issue was as good as settled, but no, some radical blue states are still willing to die on the hill of men and women's sports. President Trump called out one of those governors to her face while speaking to the National Governors Association in reference to Maine's decision not to comply with the EO protecting women's sports from biological male athletes. Trump flat out asked Governor Mills if she was going to comply. President Trump gently reminded her that non-compliance would result in no federal funding. Well, unsurprisingly, her answer was, see you in court. Well, first of all, I'm so glad President Trump is holding his ground on the issue. The most feminist president of my lifetime for sure. But what I cannot understand is why these radical leftists who are supposedly feminists want men to rob women of opportunities and private spaces. What a stupid hill to die on. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore to tell you about Michael's Flooring. Michael's is known for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. Installing new flooring should be exciting, not a hassle you dread. Michael's has solved that, and their long list of happy repeat customers is proof. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, ceramic tile, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring, with 3 locations, St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis's #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
And we did get that confirmation of, I guess, the new post-Joy Reid show lineup. Thanks to Buck's mom for sending that information in. Yeah, as you said, Michael Steele, which seems like MSNBC doesn't know what they're doing, so that's the only reason that makes sense.
Well, they needed a black person.
Well, yeah.
And Michael Steele has been a contributor on there. And I think this is their attempt to, like you were saying, Stel, to be bipartisan.
But he can be annoying, though. Well, then that would fit in with Joy.
You go.
Can be. He's just annoying now. Like, straight up. There's no can be.
And then there's Simone Sanders, who is as far out there and nutty as Joy Reid ever was. And then Alicia Menendez, and I'm not familiar with Alicia Menendez. I don't know who that is. So Michael Steele +2.
Yeah, Alicia Menendez is just basically a feminist writer, and she's also has a show on MSNBC on weekends.
Oh, that's why nobody's ever heard of her.
Exactly.
All right, 8:37 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here.
Oh, and HuffPost.
Oh, well.
You know.
All right, joined now by State Representative Jim Murphy. Jim, I got to tell you, usually at this point in the game, I've given up all hope on getting the biggest things done in the Missouri legislature. Am I foolish to be holding on to some hope this late in the session? Because we're approaching the spring break, so we're approaching that halfway point. Am I being foolish to say, ooh, I actually think some big stuff can still get done this year?
Not foolish, but your eyes are certainly wide open. 3 weeks to go to spring break. A lot of good things can happen, and there's still a lot of landmines out there. So we'll see.
Let me start with.
I have a lot of hope.
Okay,
also,
good. That's you're there. So let me start with the tax question on this, because it seems like the debate isn't should we reduce taxes. It's not even just which tax are we going to reduce. It's which tax to eliminate first and what to do with all the others. How do you assess the dynamic of this? Because if there are too many good ideas, that can cause the paralysis and nothing gets done as well. But there seems to be a dedication to getting some tax relief to us this year.
Yeah, and we passed out the tax bill last week, and I've been saying all along that our problem right now is that our eyes are bigger than our stomach. We should have looked at one tax, and I think it should have been probably the state income tax, and said let's concentrate on this rather than scattering 50 other bills out there. I have great hopes that we're going to get something done on that, but who knows? I mean, there's so many good ideas out there. Settling in on one is very difficult in this body, I'll tell you.
Morning, Jim. Gabe Pfeiffer here. Yeah, don't get paralyzed by the number of choices like the cereal aisle at the Schnucks there. One question that I have also is about the Amendment 3 mitigations. Right. How is the legislation going in that regard?
I believe it's a slam dunk. I think we're going to get that done. Right now, I think we're just dealing with the politics of timing. When is the best time to get that done? When can we get it through with the least amount of interference from the Democrats? And I think, I think the leadership's got that kind of worked out, but amongst themselves. So I don't worry about that one. We're going to get it done.
All right, we're visiting with State Representative Jim Murphy. Jim, last week we heard a lot about, I think this kind of jumped up on people's radar and social media. The House has already passed this bill regarding Bayer and, that sort of thing. And the accusation is that it is making Bayer and the old Monsanto immune from liability for lawsuits for some of the chemicals that were put into, pesticides and herbicides and things like that. And so I don't know what the state Senate's going to do with that. But what's your take on that entire argument that happened? Because there was a lot of money spent both sides to lobby on that and put a PR campaign out there. What actually happened?
Yeah, here's your situation. You've got a tug of war between the trial lawyers who want to sue on everything and the farmers who say without our Roundup, we're probably going to reduce our crops by 50% that we can't handle. And the alternative to Roundup is a Chinese cheaper chemical that is not as effective. And literally, if we do away with Roundup, we are going to be handing the Chinese a big win. So now you've got the people that think that if you're going to give them immunity, you don't give them immunity. What you said was that you can't make them label something that hasn't been proven. The FDA, everybody has said that there's no proof that Roundup causes cancer, and that you can't require that they put a label on there that says if you use this, cancer will happen. So it's a very complicated situation. But of course, the trial lawyers absolutely don't want any restrictions on this whatsoever because they make lots and lots of money. But if we sue Monsanto out of business, our food supply is going to be in jeopardy. So, I think, we have to slow that down. Whether or not this was the final answer to that, I don't know. But it's not as simple as, you would read on social media.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, we're seeing all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, was there an immunity provided, assuming the bill is passed into law, which, like I said, I don't know what the state Senate's going to do with that. It seems to be a lot of opposition there as well. No,
it does not restrict people from suing in Monsanto. It does not.
Okay. Yeah. I think that was one of the key issues.
They like you to make you think it did. No, we didn't give blanket immunity to anybody.
Okay. Yeah. That's why I wanted to ask about that, because we had the other side, arguing on this one last week. I wanted to make sure that, that I knew both sides were at least presented here. We're visiting with State Representative Jim Murphy.
So as we roll into the halfway point, is there any legislation that you're worried is kind of on the bubble, that time might run out of it, but you really want to get it done?
I'm really worried about the school choice issues. I don't know that, I haven't seen open enrollment move, and I really would love to see that get across the finish line this year. So that's one that I've got my eye on, saying, well, hey, what's going on, guys? Why aren't we doing this? School choice, I think, is important in Missouri. I think it's important to the Republican caucus. Why haven't we seen it? I don't know.
All right. And then this coming week, I mean, headlines I should be looking for are what, Jim?
I'm not sure that there's going to be a lot of headlines this week. I think, after we did the crime bill, which was really an important piece of legislation we did last week, the state takeover of St. Louis, I think maybe we'll have a more friendly week on the floor. Just from what I'm hearing from the floor leader, he kind of like to calm it down for a few days and then hit it again.
Yeah, I mean, because that's a big one. There's a lot of support in the Senate. I think that was probably going to happen. And of course, people need to remember, Jim, is that the local control of the police department's really been the experiment. Historically, there has been state oversight. So this is really returning things back to what it was before the city really fell apart.
Yeah, and I had gotten up on the floor because they said, well, there's a certain amount, the same amount of crime now as there was then. Kansas City still has crime. The real difference is our cops don't feel supported. And I'm going to tell you, day one, when we take over, the morale of that police department is going to go up tenfold. Yeah. And I'll tell you, that's really, really important because these guys are putting their life on the line. And if they're going to go out and risk their lives, they ought to feel like somebody has their back. And I think that's probably the most important part of that bill.
All right, State Representative Jim Murphy. Really appreciate the update, Jim.
You have a great day.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon. All right, 314-912-1019. Gabe, you doing anything big for Black History Month?
Just being black.
Oh, you do that very well.
Hey, thank you.
It's a full-time job for you.
I think so. It is a full-time job.
I mean, not that I'm an expert on it, but
I've been at this for over 40 years. I don't know if you guys know this.
So how about this? A church in California decides to celebrate Black History Month by having a segregated event where only their Black parishioners or congregants were allowed.
Yeah, that's a big no.
Okay, well, let's find out. Let's talk about why. Right around 8:49 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Oh God, where were you when I needed you?
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
No, you would never have betrayed me. I thought I'd die. Why all the reasons still evade me? But you're back. Now I can see you. Now I can feel you. Now that I want you. Now I can touch you. Next to me. Here comes the feeling. Here comes the same old feeling. Here comes the feeling.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every week yet on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
The Allman Report.
Hey, Monday on the Allman Report, all the nuttiness from around the weekend. There's always some nuttiness. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
And then the media.
101.9 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's a beautiful day. Sun beat down.
Every once in a while, you see a blow up on social media that makes me say, oh, that's interesting. But, most of the time, I just leave the social media drama on social media and let people fight it out. And this one jumped out at me, not because I actually know one of the people involved in it, but it's just a bigger kind of question here because it's got the entire, Black History Month thing, racial segregation thing. It's also got the church and faith aspect of it as well. But what happened is there's a Presbyterian church, a PCA church, Presbyterian Church in America, PCA, in California called Resurrection Oakland Church, Oakland, California. And as apparently they've got a big, series of Black History Month things that are happening. And I know a lot of churches do some of that. This is important to the story, a church that apparently is very diverse, multi-ethnic in the church. It's a big church, right? A lot of white people, a lot of Black people, a lot of Asian people, other, races, different races of pastors, all that sort of thing. And as part of their Black History Month series or celebrations, which one we can talk about how much should a church really be getting involved in stuff like this? Yeah. But they decided to have a dinner, kind of a dinner service,
a fellowship dinner,
because in their own words, that particular event was only for the Black worshipers. Their words,
that's
Black worshipers.
It's on the little promo thing they have on their website.
So Megan Basham from the Daily Wire, I think we forget. Yes, journalist with there, and she, she's pretty good for the most part. There's a couple times I think she's stepped over her skis, but she points out the racial segregation of this. And then Dr. Anthony Bradley, who's with the Acton Institute now, and just for the record, I know Anthony. I'm acquaintances with him. He and my wife are friends because they both are scholars at the Acton Institute. But he's been a professor at like the King's College and all this, and he blew up at the idea of criticizing a church for having a Black only event.
Yeah. And in fact, his response, he said, Megan Basham is the personification of, quote, low IQ. This is so dumb.
Wow.
This is the same ignorance that asks, why is there a Black church? Research shows that content like hers is a sure sign of significant father issues. So he went in on her.
He went, he got very, very personal instead of addressing the critique. And for instance, I've mentioned the church that I finally walked out of, like literally in the middle of the service. In all the years I'd been going there, I didn't go during February because they go so over the top of Black History Month,
right?
That it's idolatry.
Yes, and that is entirely possible to do where the church does need to be engaged in things that are significant to the culture in which they exist. So it is not out of bounds to acknowledge the historical significance to the church of some of the events that happen in the Black experience in America. In the same way, it's definitely it should be part of a church service in America to celebrate that America exists on July 4th.
Sure, but that can be idolatry too.
But that can absolutely be idolatrous too, and we've
it's
seen
the conservative churches that tend to make that an idol.
They tend to do that exactly. So when if you are aware of the line that exists there, it's easy to see when it's crossed, when you go from, okay, we're going to acknowledge, we're going to even celebrate aspects of it that affect the church, that affect people, and we're going to look at this from a Christian perspective, and when they go too far and it becomes idol worship.
Yeah. Now, what about, we're going to have this special Black History Month, but within our diverse community, only people with this skin color are allowed to go.
Yeah, see, that absolutely crosses the line. Once you say only people who fit this irrelevant demographic get to organize together and do a separate thing from the rest of you, you've kind of destroyed the idea of Christian unity.
Right.
Now, that isn't the same as having a men's study or a women's retreat or children's church, because those things are actually relevant to the Christian experience. Men and women have different roles according to the Bible. We experience things, we deal with things from a Christian perspective differently because the Bible explains this. Children have a different role in the family according to the Bible. You know what isn't in the Bible? The idea that there is a racial difference that is significant to your Christian experience. In fact, it speaks directly against that concept. And the picture of worship that we're given in the final assessment, when we all get to heaven, what a great rejoicing that will be. What a time of rejoicing that will be. If you're
old enough to know those hymns.
Yes, exactly.
See, if you're under 40, hymns are these old songs. Never mind.
There's a book at the back of the pew. But if we're all gathered around the foot of the throne of God and we're all praising together, all nation, tongues, tribes, and peoples, all together,
red and yellow,
black and white. We are precious in His sight. It's like another little thing. The idea is Christian unity surpasses all of those other irrelevant ideas, and your Christian experience in life is supposed to kind of be practice for when you're worshiping with this person on your left who's coming from this culture, and this person on your right is coming from that culture. We are all unified in that we are directed our worship.
So a church saying only Black people allowed here.
Yeah, that's absolutely antithetical to the Christian idea of unity.
Anthony lost his stuff on
He
social
did.
media. And I don't know Anthony well. We're acquaintances, like I said, but I can tell you that was really weird to see because that's not his normal pattern of engagement. He loves to debate people, but he's usually the one cooling the temperature during the debate.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. Megan's response to this thing, her initial post, besides her reference to the ICE thing, she says this week, this particular Presbyterian church leader is speaking at a racially segregated event for, quote, Black worshipers only, quoting and showing pictures, showing the receipts.
Right.
And she asks, is this how Christ's kingdom is supposed to work, dividing up for events by skin color? Anthony Bradley's response, which I read to you earlier, calling her low IQ, dumb, and having father issues, it automatically is out of bounds. He's automatically out of pocket with that bullcrap.
And it also undermines his credibility in the argument.
It sure does.
The debate.
Yeah, and it's unlike him too, as another poster.
So.
Yeah, so it's weird. Something's going on.
All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way here in just about 6 minutes.
Agree.
I think conservatives have it wrong.
Or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump. I'm shaking my head. I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it. That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
So I want to hear what people think and be able to talk about it.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger. Hey, I wanted to invite you to the annual Missouri State Lincoln Days occurring on March 7th through the 9th. I plan on being there to celebrate President Trump's huge victory, and we swept the state with statewide elected officials. I also hope to be there. You can register at mogop.org. It's mogop.org. Look forward to seeing you on March 7th through the 9th in St. Louis. Let's make Missouri great again.
Learn more and get tickets at mogop.org.
Paid for by the Missouri Republican Party. Jennifer Finch, Treasurer.
Whether you're a saltwater fish fanatic